Sarah ignores her companion's fatigue and moves forward, determined. Despite the difficulties, she insists they must train harder if they want to become holy knights. Exhausted, the boy questions if the training is really worth it. Sarah insists it is, believing effort brings results. Still, he remains doubtful, looking at the food and wondering if it all makes sense. The boy thinks about Sarah, his childhood friend. He sees her as a sister, kind and always caring for others. Even so, he admits she is his only friend. Together they keep training with the goal of becoming holy knights. After the meal, the boy changes the subject and asks Sarah if she knows how the citizens of the 4th Division live. He reveals that those people live in misery and fight daily just to survive, which surprises Sarah with the seriousness of the topic. The boy explains that when they turn 18, everyone receives a class from the gods, like warrior, mage, or farmer. However, he believes no one is forced to follow the destiny set by that class. He reflects that classes like warriors and mages are naturally strong, while farmers or merchants cannot act as adventurers. Overcoming these limits with pure effort seems impossible, until an explosion catches his attention. Sarah tries to encourage Lythe, telling him he will surely get a strong class. Though unsure, he tries to believe. Before he can think more, she pulls him back to training, determined as always. Nowadays, the city is busy, full of people coming and going at the market. Amid the crowd, someone lets out an irritated shout, breaking the usual routine mood. Lythe walks through the city, noticing the festive atmosphere around him. Sarah jokes that he probably barely slept from nerves. People recognize him as the Duke's son and greet him warmly, wishing luck on classification day. Embarrassed, he thanks them, while Sarah watches his popularity with a smile. Entering the hall, Lythe and Sarah face a crowd. The mood is tense. Everyone seems serious. Some celebrate happily for receiving combat classes. Others show disappointment at getting common classes. A man announces the arrival of Duke Ride Wellesley, drawing even more attention. Duke Ride Wellesley enters the hall with a commanding presence. Sarah points him out to Lythe, reminding him this is his father, the holy knight who governs the region. Everyone around watches with respect. A young man asks Lythe about the boy accompanying the Duke. Surprised, Lythe reveals he is his younger brother, son of another mother, a woman from the 4th Division. Because of this, the Duke, as an aristocrat, does not officially recognize him. Still, Lythe comments that everything could change if the boy gets a powerful class. Kite Wellesley is called for the ceremony. He confidently climbs to the altar, while the Duke watches silently. Everyone waits anxiously as he prepares to touch the crystal that will reveal his class. When he touches the crystal, a glowing symbol appears on Kite's chest. Everyone immediately recognizes it. He received the class of Holy Knight. The audience reacts surprised and impressed, while Lythe watches in shock at the emblem marked on his brother. The narrator explains that the Holy Knight class is extremely rare, appearing in only 1 out of 10,000. Although family heritage increases chances, it remains unlikely. Still, Kite Wellesley was chosen. For the first time, the Duke calls him my son, congratulating him publicly. This surprises Kite, who feels anger realizing he was only recognized now, after years of being ignored. As Kite realizes his father used him to strengthen his own image, he decides to also take advantage of his new position. Then Sarah is called. Nervous, she tries to stay calm as she approaches the crystal, about to discover her class. Upon touching the crystal, the Holy Knight class symbol shines on Sarah's chest. Everyone is surprised to see she too was chosen for this rare and powerful class. After Sarah is acclaimed by the crowd, she turns excitedly to Lythe, saying now it's his turn. He answers determinedly, but his look shows tension and doubt about which class he will receive. Sarah smiles confidently, supporting him. Lythe is called and stands firmly, answering with a strong yes. As he walks toward the crystal, Sarah encourages him with a smile and wishes him luck. All eyes are now on him. Before Lythe steps up, the Duke stares coldly at him and tells him not to disappoint. Lythe responds with a serious look, aware of the pressure. Meanwhile, the crowd comments on how impressive it is that 2 holy knights have appeared on the same day, something almost unbelievable. But it remains to be seen what fate has in store for Lythe. Convinced, Lythe approaches the crystal, certain he will also become a holy knight. He reaches out confidently, determined to achieve the same grand destiny as Kite and Sarah. Lythe, determined, vows not to lose to anyone. With a firm gaze and a pounding heart, he touches the crystal, resolved to gain power with his own hands. Meanwhile, the Duke watches carefully, as if calculating every move. With a fiery heart, Lythe shouts his deepest wish. He wants to become stronger. The images reflect his determination and ambition, while the entire hall silently observes the decisive moment. The hall falls silent as everyone waits for Lythe's class result. All eyes are fixed on him. Sarah, Kite, and even the Duke watch expectantly. A bright glow fills the crystal. surprising the high priest. Lith, sweating and with a racing heart, still doesn't know what has been revealed. Lith goes into shock when he realizes the crystal did not react to his touch. No glow, no symbol, nothing. The room fills with tension, and even the Duke watches silently, surprised by his son's failure. Desperate, Lith asks the priest what is happening. Sarah and the others are shocked, refusing to believe it. Even the Duke looks tense. The priest prepares to announce Lith's class in front of everyone. The priest announces the result. Lith received no class. He is declared classless. While everyone else receives a destiny upon turning 18, Lith finds himself rejected even by the gods. Back at the Wellesley mansion, Lith arrives downcast after the humiliating result. A maid calls him, saying the master, his father, wants to see him. The mood is heavy and Lith already expects the worst. Showing no pity, the Duke looks at Lith coldly and declares the end of their father-son bond. Lith is shocked by the words, officially rejected by his own family. The Duke coldly informs him that Lith is no longer part of the Wellesley family, nor considered his son. From now on, Kite is recognized as the eldest son. Lith has only 1 hour to leave the mansion. With an empty gaze and a broken heart, Lith stares at the closed door. The order is clear. He is no longer welcome there. Silent, he accepts the abandonment and prepares to leave behind everything he knew. While Lith faces abandonment, Sarah is celebrated in the city. At the bar, everyone toasts her achievement as a holy knight. Her father pays for drinks and calls her a heroine, leaving her embarrassed but visibly happy with the affection and recognition. As the city celebrates, some residents comment about the Duke. They find it impressive that 2 holy knights appeared, but regret that the Duke's legitimate son was classed as classless, while the younger brother received the rarest class. Lith takes one last look at the Wellesley mansion under the moonlight. Despite the pain, he gives a faint smile before leaving. Rumors linger. Was he really ever the Duke's son? Walking alone through the city, Lith thinks about getting a job even without a class. He tries to stay positive, despite the uncertainty. At the bar, someone comments they saw Lith leaving town, catching Sarah's attention. Sarah suddenly leaves the celebration upon hearing Lith has left. While others find her behavior strange, she runs through the streets, searching for him. Outside the city, Lith is already on his path alone. On the road, Lith finds work carrying luggage. One of the men calls him a rookie and asks his name. When he answers, he is recognized as the Duke's son, surprising everyone to see someone like him in such a humble position. Classless and without skills, Lith reflects on his situation. To survive, he needs money, and the only job he can get is carrying loads. Still, he pushes forward, determined not to stop. While resting, the other adventurers mock Lith, sarcastically offering him common food. They say he as an ex-noble wouldn't have the stomach for it. From a distance, Lith kneels exhausted, bearing weight and humiliation, but still holding on. Sitting silently, Lith eats an apple while watching the others far away. He thinks about how he should be wielding a sword, not carrying luggage. Embarrassed, he wonders how far his situation can sink. While Lith watches curiously, one of the soldiers warns the group. The forest ahead is dangerous, and everyone must proceed carefully. But before he finishes, something unexpected interrupts, alarming him. The group is suddenly attacked by bandits. One guard shouts a warning as everyone quickly prepares for battle. Chaos takes over the road. During the attack, civilians panic. While the guards fight the bandits, Lith watches tense and unsure what to do. Despite lacking skills, something inside him begins to react. The bandit leader approaches confidently after defeating a guard. On the ground lies the fallen warrior's sword within reach. Lith watches the scene, pressured and surrounded by enemies, while the survivors desperately await a response. With the guards dead, the bandits celebrate. One asks what to do with the civilians. Without hesitation, the leader orders, "Kill them all." Despair overwhelms the group as danger rapidly approaches. Facing the threat, Lith picks up the sword from the ground and charges the bandits. He shouts that he trained in swordsmanship for years, and even without combat skills, he is not defenseless. Determined, he attacks with courage. Lith fights bravely, but is quickly overwhelmed by the bandit leader, who knocks him down with a brutal blow. Even fallen, he refuses to give up. He knows he has no special skills, but understands that if he doesn't fight, no one else will protect the innocent. Injured and facing the enemy head-on, Lith stands firm. The bandit leader calls him a nuisance, but he does not back down. With a determined look, he grips his sword tightly, thinking, "If I don't fight, who will?" During the journey, a little girl asks her father what a class is. He explains it's a power given by the gods when turning 18, which defines a person's life path. Blade masters are good at fighting, farmers handle agriculture, and merchants work with trade and sales. The girl listens quietly, thinking. Lithe, exhausted, holds his sword tightly while facing the enemy. Between breaths, he asks if that man is a true blade master. From a distance, the bandit leader watches him and calls out with contempt, "Boy!" Lithe faces the bandit leader in direct combat. The enemy activates a warrior skill to increase strength, and the blow's impact is brutal. Lithe's sword starts to crack, and he realizes the worst. His blade is breaking during the fight. Lithe is hit hard and thrown into the air. The blow leaves him dizzy and stunned. He falls violently to the ground as civilians watch scared, shouting his name. The situation grows more desperate. The bandit chief delivers a powerful kick to Lithe, sending him flying. Watching the impact, he admits he underestimated the boy for having no class. Though surprised, he acknowledges Lithe is strong, even without being a blade master. Fallen on the ground, Lithe watches the bandit approach calmly despite the danger. He wonders if this will be the end of his life, about to be defeated in front of everyone. The bandit leader prepares to finish Lithe off, saying the joke is over. The girl watches in despair, realizing they are going to kill him. At the last moment, Lithe reacts with a quick strike and surprises the enemy. The bandit mocks him, saying he could dodge the attack even with his eyes closed. However, Lithe surprises by landing a direct and precise blow, leaving the enemy stunned. With a confident smile, Lithe taunts that his skills aren't that impressive after all. Fallen and wounded, Lithe screams in frustration, wondering why he is so weak. Staring into the void, overwhelmed by despair, he hears a mysterious voice echoing in his mind, interrupting his dark thoughts. Still on the ground, Lithe listens in surprise to a female voice echoing in his mind. She announces that he has acquired the skill Physique Boost. Shortly after, another notification appears. He also received the skill Blade Boost. Shocked, Lithe begins to realize something inside him has changed. The bandit attacks confidently, but is surprised when Lithe firmly blocks the strike. Shocked, the enemy can hardly believe what he sees. The young man who seemed defenseless before is now able to parry his sword. Seizing the opening, Lithe counterattacks swiftly. He lands a precise blow to the bandit's neck. The impact is brutal, and the enemy collapses to the ground, leaving the others in shock at the sudden turn of events. Another bandit charges with a fierce scream, but Lithe, now alert, reacts just in time. He dodges and grips his sword tightly, preparing for the next move with precision and focus. Lithe defeats another enemy with a sure strike. Panting and covered in sweat, he looks at the fallen bodies around him. Even exhausted, something catches his attention, keeping him on alert. After the fight, Lithe tries to catch his breath. When he turns, he is surprised by the girl he saved, running toward him. She throws herself into his arms, crying with relief and saying how scared she was. The survivors thank Lithe emotionally, acknowledging they would have died if he hadn't acted. Surprised, he admits his class isn't offensive, which causes even more astonishment. He himself begins to question how he managed to defeat the bandits, trying to understand what happened in that crucial moment. Lithe recalls the battle, feeling that something awakened inside him when he struck the enemy. He heard the voice of a goddess speaking about a newly granted skill. Still confused about what happened, he feels relieved to have saved everyone. The man who was saved approaches Lithe with gratitude and offers help as repayment. He says he is willing to provide financial support or even use his influence to intercede if Lithe needs it. Silently, Lithe watches him, surprised by the generous offer. Lithe accepts the offer and says there is something he would like to discover, asking for support with that. The next day, the scene shifts to a new location, indicating he is about to seek answers with the promised help. The next morning, Father Augustinus is busy writing when an assistant informs him that someone came to request a class reevaluation. Without even looking up, Augustinus coldly tells them to ignore the request. The assistant insists, saying the visitor brought a letter from an old friend of Augustinus. Intrigued, the priest decides to read it and, upon finishing, changes his demeanor, surprised by what he discovered. He murmurs in astonishment as he understands the situation behind the request. Lithe is surprised to learn that the old merchant he saved is a longtime friend of Augustinus, the high priest. The priest comments that, despite many years without seeing each other, it's good to know his friend as well. Lithe thinks, shocked, about how a simple help to a stranger connected him to someone so influential. Augustinus, the kingdom's archbishop, is impressed to hear Lithe survive such a dangerous situation. Meanwhile, the merchant is surprised to discover his friend is someone so influential. Lithe, still shocked by the unexpected connection, watches everything silently, gaining respect for the presence around him. Augustinus observes Lithe and comments that he was designated as classless. Lyth confirms he wants to be re-evaluated. Although the procedure is usually not allowed, the Archbishop agrees, since the request came from an old friend. Without delay, he decides to start the re-evaluation. Augustinus warns Lyth not to have high expectations, as there has never been a mistake in the crystal's assessments. Upon touching the orb, the result appears. Lyth's class remains blank. Everyone assumes nothing has changed, until one of the assistants notices something strange. The crystal reveals two rare skills, Physique Boost and Blade Boost. The Archbishop is shocked since Lyth is not a swordsman, yet possesses these techniques. He questions how this is possible, as such skills cannot be obtained by just anyone. The Archbishop explains that Physique Boost and Blade Boost are combat skills, impossible to acquire for farmers or merchants. However, even without a defined class, Lyth has them, something completely unusual. The Archbishop is impressed that Lyth, despite being classless at 18, possesses Blademaster skills. When asked what this power could be, he admits he doesn't know either, until suddenly he seems to remember something. After a brief pause, the Archbishop orders Lyth to follow him. Surprised, the young man accompanies him to a mysterious new place, the Archive Chambers. In the Archive Chambers, the Archbishop shows ancient records to Lyth. Among the books, he recalls a person from the past who also lacked a class, but, according to the records, had a hidden skill. This discovery leaves Lyth intrigued and hopeful. The Archbishop reveals that the classless individual mentioned in the records possessed a special ability, the power to copy the opponent's skill. If Lyth has the same ability, it would explain why he appears to have no fixed skills. Faced with this possibility, Lyth hesitates but seems about to share something important with the Archbishop. The Archbishop confirms the theory. Lyth acquired his combat skills only after hitting the bandit. This reinforces the idea that his unique ability is to copy others' skills, explaining why he had none before the fight. The protagonist accepts the conclusion that his ability is copying others' skills, confidently stating, "That's it." However, the Archbishop admits the details are still unclear and cannot be confirmed exactly. Therefore, he advises the young man to discover everything on his own from now on. The protagonist leaves the place satisfied, feeling relief knowing someone in the past went through the same circumstances. Even without full answers, that is enough to give him hope. The protagonist walks through the city with a clear goal, to better understand the power awakened within him. Even without knowing exactly how to do it, he shows determination. With a slight smile, he decides he will find his own path. With a determined look toward the fortress, the protagonist declares his decision firmly and hopefully. He will become a knight. This is the first goal on the new path he chose to understand and master his power. The protagonist arrives at the registration place and, after handing in the required documents, receives confirmation. He is officially registered for the knight exam. The beginning of his new journey is about to start. The protagonist is informed that the knight exam will take place the day after tomorrow. The attendant reminds him to bring the registration form on the day. With a confident smile, he thanks her for the help. The protagonist enjoys local food while walking through the imperial capital, admiring the city's movement and energy. He comments to himself how there is activity everywhere, confirming the grandeur of the place. The protagonist observes the environment and notices many strong people around, which makes him feel some pressure. Determined, he decides to train until the exam day. At that moment, something catches his attention, and he turns curious. An exhausted girl runs through the busy streets until she spots someone in the distance. Gasping, with tears in her eyes and a relieved smile, she shouts the name Lyth, saying she finally found him. Her expression mixes happiness with despair, suggesting the search was long and important. Lyth recognizes the girl and is startled to realize it is Sarah. Confused and apprehensive, he tries to step back while she advances determinedly. Sarah's look is serious and tense, making it clear something important and possibly dangerous is about to happen between them. Sarah runs full speed toward Lyth and, to his surprise, hugs him tightly, almost making him lose balance. Dazed, he blushes and feels confused, not understanding her sudden reaction. The previous tension turns into an unexpectedly emotional moment. Sarah falls to her knees before Lyth, tears streaming down her face. Between sobs, she reveals she was desperate, afraid she had lost him. Lyth watches silently, surprised and moved. Even through tears, Sarah makes it clear she was worried about him the whole time. While Sarah tearfully reveals she thought Lyth might have taken his own life, he lowers his head and sincerely apologizes. The mood is tense and emotional, but soon breaks when Lyth, still lying with Sarah on top of him in the middle of the street, suggests with a smile, "First of all, how about we get up first?" Around them, many people watch the scene with surprise and curiosity, while Sarah blushes deeply with embarrassment. Lyth bows apologetically to Sarah, explaining that he left home without telling anyone to work as a porter and earn money. However, during the job, he was attacked by bandits. Sarah listens with crossed arms, visibly irritated but also relieved to see him safe. Lith confirms to Sarah that he acquired his skills after facing the bandit. Surprised and excited, she celebrates the discovery and points out that now that he has skills, everything changes. Sarah asks if Lith will take the night exam, and he confidently replies yes. Then she approaches with a determined look and calls him with a "hey," implying she has something important to say or propose. In front of a large pile of stones, Sarah surprises Lith by asking to see his skills. He reacts confused, not understanding the sudden request. Sarah challenges Lith to cut a huge stone. Still unsure of his skills, he prepares confidently, grips his sword, and attacks. Lith activates the physique boost skill, channeling energy into his sword. Sarah watches surprised, recognizing the technique and realizing he can use it too. Lith activates the blade boost skill and attacks with full force. Sarah observes impressed as he strikes directly against the huge rock. Lith successfully cuts part of the rock. Sarah, surprised by the power of physique boost and blade boost, says that with this power, he will easily pass the night exam. Sarah comments that Lith hasn't seen a holy night skill yet. Realizing this, she decides to personally show what she can do, leaving onlookers surprised by what is about to happen. As the ground shakes and intense energy starts to form, a spectator watches fearfully. He can't believe what he's seeing and confirms in shock that really is a holy night skill. In the background, Sarah remains firm, gradually revealing the power of her class. Lith confirms he got his skills after hitting the bandit. Curious, Sarah asks him to extend his hand, which leaves him confused about the reason. Upon touching Sarah's hand, Lith unexpectedly acquires two new skills: Celestial Boost and Celestial Blade. Surprised, he can barely understand what just happened. Lith confirms he received the skills after the touch, but questions if Sarah is sure about the decision. She assures him yes, explaining her power did not decrease by sharing them. Grateful, he thanks her for the generous gesture. Sarah smiles and trusts that the skills she gave Lith will be useful. Before saying goodbye, she winks and promises to wait for him at the night order, making clear she believes in his potential. In the imperial capital, a crowd of candidates gathers for the night exam. The presence of so many participants draws attention, but the organizers are already used to the high number of registrations. Officer Roger watches the gathered candidates and, with skepticism, comments that none of them seem promising. He questions whether they truly have what it takes to become knights. A subordinate, uncomfortable with his judgment, asks him not to speak that way. The narration explains that knighthood is one of the highest positions in the kingdom. Only a few among those with combat-oriented classes manage to achieve this title, making it a prestigious and difficult profession. Meanwhile, someone walks with determination. The candidates assemble for the knighthood exam. The presence of a new participant draws the attention of some, who look at him with curiosity and suspicion. The atmosphere is tense and expectant as everyone lines up for the evaluation to begin. Officer Roger introduces himself as the evaluator for the knighthood exam and makes it clear that only the truly capable will be approved. He states that it doesn't matter if the candidate's motives are fame, power, or money. What defines success is skill. Roger explains that by passing the exam, the candidate earns the title of 9th rank, equivalent to a baron. He emphasizes this is just the beginning, and that with effort and accomplishments, it is possible to climb higher in the hierarchy until becoming a high-class noble. Everything depends on one's own abilities. Roger raises his fist, exciting all the night exam candidates, who respond with enthusiastic shouts. Meanwhile, a man watches the scene with a sinister smile. Then, Roger declares the official start of the exam. During the roll call, the officer announces the name Edward and confirms his class as Knight. Then he calls Lith Wellesley, but is surprised to see no class recorded. Believing it to be an error, he questions Lith about missing data on the form, while Lith approaches to explain. Lith confirms the form is correct. When questioned by the evaluator, he explains that he received his oracle normally, but was not assigned to any class. This surprises those present, making clear that his situation is unusual. Upon learning that Lith has no class, everyone is shocked. He humbly confirms the information, causing concern among the examiners. One examiner, confused, asks how he intends to fight under such conditions, making it clear that the situation is rare and troubling. The examiners explain that to become a knight, one must possess offensive skills like those of mages and swordsmen. Moreover, one must be stronger than them. Seeing that Lith has no class, they question his decision to participate, suggesting he would only get hurt. Lith responds with a confident smile, saying he knows how to fight, so it would be fine. His carefree answer leaves the examiners and other candidates completely surprised. The examiner, finding the situation interesting, decides to allow Lith to take the test even without a class. The officer reluctantly agrees, calls his name, and he advances confidently, while the examiner watches with a curious smile. A young noble named Logan Bentley mocks the night exam, saying even simple people can now participate. His arrogant comment draws attention, and one of the officers explains he is an aristocrat. The examiner watches silently, not reacting. Logan faces the protagonist with disdain, saying a weakling without a class like him could never become a knight. He humiliates him in front of everyone, telling him to stay in his place. The protagonist stares silently, but is visibly affected. Logan tries to provoke the protagonist, mocking and calling him Mr. No Grace, but is completely ignored. The boy, calm, just confirms with the examiner if he can still participate. With permission granted, he coldly replies to Logan that he has no room in his brain for irrelevant things. Furious at being ignored, Logan loses control and charges at the protagonist with his sword, shouting insults and calling him a classless worm. The protagonist, however, remains calm and faces the attack coldly. At the exact moment Logan attacks, Roger intervenes and firmly blocks his sword. With a serious look, he reprimands him, making it clear the exam hasn't even started, and acting impulsively has consequences. Roger holds Logan's blade with one hand, stopping the attack decisively. Everyone around watches surprised, while the examiner approaches, writing something down and preparing a box, probably with materials to start the next phase of the exam. Logan steps back with a forced smile and apologizes to the officer. Roger then orders everyone to return to their places. Meanwhile, Logan looks at Lythe with a serious gaze and calls his name, heightening the tense atmosphere. Logan looks at Lythe with a provoking smile and says he is eager for their fight. The tension rises, but Roger jokes about the situation, saying Lythe made a new friend, while another officer reacts confused by the comment. Roger watches the candidates and comments to himself that this year's exam might be interesting. He recognizes that Logan Bentley seems skilled but also too vain, leaving doubts about his potential to grow. Roger observes Lythe and acknowledges that even without a class, he managed to cause damage while his physique boost ability was active. Surprised, Roger admits he was caught off guard and begins to pay more attention to him. Roger watches the candidates and, changing his initial opinion, admits this year's participants are promising. The images highlight Lythe, Sarah, Logan, and others, reinforcing that they all have potential to stand out in the exam. All students gather in the courtyard for a new training stage. The instructor, seeing the full group, confirms everyone has arrived, starting what appears to be an important activity. The instructor announces the exam will be a simulation of real combat. Participants will be evaluated based on their performance during the battle. He emphasizes that despite the seriousness, it is not a fight to the death. The instructor distributes magical rings that create a barrier to protect participants from damage. The goal is to hit the opponent and break their defense. Whoever succeeds wins. With everything ready, he begins the exam. The first round of Block A starts. The name called is Lythe Wellesley, who positions himself seriously. The instructor announces the opponent will be revealed shortly, while others watch attentively and are surprised by the quick start. Lythe's opponent is announced Logan Bentley, a confident candidate praised by his peers. As he is cheered on, one of them mocks Lythe, calling him useless and unemployed. Lythe watches silently, maintaining focus. Before the fight starts, the instructor confirms both have put on their protection rings. Logan mocks Lythe sarcastically, saying to fight fairly and teasing with pity for you. Lythe just watches, remaining calm. Logan approaches confidently, provoking Lythe for being matched against him. The instructor then signals, officially starting the combat exam. Logan attacks first, conjuring a fire spear with a confident smile. Spectators realize he is a mage, while Lythe watches the incoming attack. Lythe remembers the Bentley family is famous for its mages. Logan remains confident and easily casts another spell, surprising Lythe, who stays alert. Lythe is hit squarely by Logan's attack, who approaches laughing and mocking. The impact surprises everyone, including the instructor, impressed by the spell's speed. Logan is shocked to see his magic cut off mid-air. Lythe, calm and determined, easily neutralizes the attack, surprising everyone with his skill. The audience watches in shock as Lythe advances across the battlefield, surrounded by flames. He activates a skill called Celestial Boost, impressing everyone with the speed and power. Lythe feels stronger, with heightened reflexes and magic. Surprised by his own performance, he realizes he can now easily defend against fast spells, something that seemed impossible before. The crowd is stunned when Lythe cuts through a fire lance, an act considered impossible. Even the instructor is impressed. Logan, surprised but smiling, acknowledges Lyth's skill and praises him. Logan gets irritated and says he doesn't understand how someone without a class like Lyth can use skills. Still, he arrogantly claims he will never be defeated, revealing he has mastered high-level techniques. Lyth remains calm, facing the provocation. Logan gets excited, calling himself a genius and mocking Lyth again for having no class. Lyth replies calmly, unaffected. Suddenly, Logan says he has an idea, his expression disturbed. Logan prepares a new massive attack, filling the sky with multiple fire lances. He admits Lyth blocked his first spell, but now challenges him to stop this stronger assault. Logan unleashes his final attack with fury, launching the technique Fire Lance Line straight at Lyth. The impact causes massive destruction on the field, and Logan yells confidently, believing this will decide the fight. Just as the judge is about to call the match over, Lyth counterattacks with his technique Celestial Sword. The blow is so powerful that the instructor says even the protective ring wouldn't save Logan if hit directly. Logan tries to react but is completely overwhelmed by Lyth's attack. The energy from the Celestial Sword pierces everything and hits the arena wall. Sitting on the ground in shock, Logan can hardly believe what happened. Lyth stands firm, holding his sword after the strike. Logan, stunned, recognizes the technique as Celestial Sword, an exclusive skill of Holy Knights, not understanding how someone without a class used it. Logan panics when he realizes his magic isn't working. Confused and furious, he wonders why a useless guy like Lyth can use a sacred skill. Meanwhile, Lyth stares at him silently, keeping control of the situation. Logan shouts angrily for Lyth not to think he's better. Determined to turn the tide, he activates his last resource, gathering all his remaining magical energy for a final attack. The atmosphere grows tense. Logan unleashes his final technique, Dragon Breath, a magical explosion shaped like a dragon charging at Lyth with fury. With wide eyes, he bets everything on this desperate attack. Logan's technique causes a devastating explosion, frightening the spectators. The impact is so strong it reaches the audience, forcing the instructor to cast a protective spell to shield everyone nearby. Exhausted, Logan laughs and declares victory, believing his power was decisive. The instructor, worried, notes Logan is not holding back and comments the attack could have been fatal. But to everyone's surprise, a firm voice replies, "Not yet victorious." Lyth emerges unharmed from the attack, moving forward through the smoke. Logan, shocked, panics and fires several fire lances rapidly, yelling that it's impossible. But nothing stops Lyth. Lyth delivers a powerful strike directly to Logan, breaking through his defense. The impact is so strong the ground cracks, and Logan's protective ring starts to shatter, unable to withstand the blow. The force of Lyth's strike is so destructive the arena floor explodes, sending debris flying everywhere. The spectators instinctively shield themselves, shocked by the destruction. Logan lies unconscious on the ground, defeated among the rubble. The judge raises his hand and declares Lyth Wellesley the winner of the battle. Silence takes over the field after the brutal fight ends. In a forest, a woman holds a child, desperate and calling for help. A huge monstrous bear approaches, roaring, ready to attack. Danger is near, and no one is around to protect them. At the critical moment, a young warrior woman appears and stands between the bear and the victims. She faces the beast head-on, ready to fight. The woman and child watch wide-eyed, surprised and hopeful at the sudden rescue. After the rescue, the knight asks if they are hurt. The child, amazed, confirms she is a knight and thanks her. Inspired by the heroic act, the boy eagerly declares he wants to become a knight someday. The knight smiles kindly and says she's sure the boy will be an amazing knight. Then she looks at young Lyth and confidently says he will also become a great knight. Lyth is officially declared the winner, walking calmly as others watch in shock. They comment that Logan was the heir of a noble and powerful family, yet was defeated in moments. Many are impressed to see the Celestial Sword for the first time. Lyth walks silently, noticing something strange. He acquired Logan's skills, including Fire Lance Rain, and even Dragon Breath. Thinking about it, he concludes this happened the moment he struck Logan. Though confused, he accepts that now he has his opponent's abilities. Lyth asks about Logan's condition and feels relieved seeing he is not badly injured. He admits to himself that, since it's his first time using a Holy Knight skill, he couldn't control the impact well. Meanwhile, the instructor watches him with a serious look, as if about to say something important. The instructor prepares to announce the next fight, excited by Lyth's potential. However, Logan stands up furious, interrupts the ceremony, and accuses Lyth of cheating, demanding the fight be annulled. Angry and refusing to accept defeat, Logan accuses Lyth of cheating, claiming he hid his true class. He says Lyth is actually a holy knight disguised as classless. which would break the rules and honor of the exam. Logan insists on the accusations and tries to convince others that Leith only won because he secretly received help from a real holy knight. According to him, that explains the high-level skills and is a fraud to bypass the exam. Logan demands Leith's disqualification, accusing him of cheating. Some start to agree, finding it suspicious that a classless person used a holy knight skill. Although exaggerated, doubts begin to spread among the candidates. With pressure rising, one of the judges suggests postponing the decision on the fight's result. Logan watches hopefully, expecting punishment for Leith, but a firm and determined voice interrupts. There is no need for that. An imposing figure stops everything. Princess Iris. Her arrival surprises everyone, and her firm tone shows she intends to resolve the matter immediately. Everyone kneels out of respect for Princess Iris. Revealed as the first princess of the Lawrence Empire, her unexpected presence surprises Leith, who wonders why someone so important is here. The princess, smiling confidently, approaches him directly. Princess Iris declares there was no cheating and confirms Leith really has no registered class. Despite this, she confirms the Celestial Boost and Celestial Sword skills are genuinely his, leaving everyone amazed. Princess Iris accuses Logan Bentley of being the true culprit for acting against the spirit of chivalry, firmly stating he disrespected the tournament's principles. Logan tries to dodge the accusations, saying he doesn't understand what the princess means. However, Iris says she has proof and calls a young woman as witness, making clear the truth is about to be revealed. The young woman reveals that several people were using strengthening magic to help Bentley in his fight. Iris firmly confirms the accusation, saying she can't be fooled because she has an evaluation skill that detected everything. Princess Iris exposes Logan Bentley's crimes and his accomplices, who used magic to cheat. She says she saw through all their lies and, with clear proof, orders them taken into custody. Logan tries to justify himself desperately, but is ignored and dragged away by guards. Princess Iris ends the trial firmly, declaring the case closed. Everyone is stunned by her decisive stance, while Leith watches impressed, comparing her presence to a storm. Amid the silence, she asks everyone to stand, bringing the ceremony back to its pace. Princess Iris approaches Leith and asks his name directly. Surprised, he respectfully confirms it, while everyone watches silently as a new recognition begins. Iris looks at Leith closely with an intense and assessing gaze, leaving him visibly unsettled. After a brief silence, she makes her decision firmly, saying aloud that she already decided what to do. Iris, smiling confidently, announces that by her own will, Leith will become a member of the Royal Guard. Surprised, he is shocked by the sudden decision, not understanding how he reached this point. Leith starts the day greeting a village lady, and by touching her hand, acquires the cooking skill. She smiles and wishes him luck with his shop. With his ability to copy talents, villagers begin to actively seek him out, all wanting his help with local tasks. Leith is brought to the imperial throne by Iris. Before the emperor, Richard III announces he has brought a newly appointed royal guard, formally presenting Leith as the chosen one. Leith is shocked, realizing he stands before the king himself, surrounded by nobles and spectators. He tries to keep his composure, but nervously wonders why he is in such a sudden and grand situation. Princess Iris publicly declares she will appoint Leith as one of the royal guards, surprising everyone. The examiner tries to object, saying this is unprecedented for a rookie, but the princess insists firmly, asking if she cannot take him with her. The examiner explains to Princess Iris that there is a hierarchy among knights. Those who pass the exam start at the 9th rank, and only the knight who leads all others can reach the 1st rank. He implies appointing someone directly to the royal guard breaks this traditional order. The princess listens carefully, thinking about the imposed structure. The examiner tries to justify that only knights of the 7th rank or above can serve in the royal guard, as stated in legal texts. However, Princess Iris firmly replies that nothing prevents a rookie from already receiving the 7th rank. With no arguments, the examiner is forced to accept. Iris then orders that Leith be taken immediately to the personnel sector, leaving everyone surprised by her authority. Leith shakes Princess Iris's hand and promises not to disappoint her now that he is part of the royal guard. Smiling, she says she is counting on him. Then she says she wants to introduce him to someone, and Leith accepts immediately, ready for what's next. The princess's father watches Leith with a stern expression, making him nervous. Meanwhile, Iris tries to convince the king by mentioning Leith's impressive victory in his last duel. The king calls Leith and comments that his immediate appointment as royal guard is unusual, suggesting his daughter, Princess Iris, showed great interest in him. Leith responds respectfully, visibly embarrassed. During the audience, Princess Iris surprises everyone by declaring to the king that she has chosen Lythe as her future husband. The announcement leaves Lythe completely shocked, unable to react. Lythe is in complete shock from the princess's announcement, shouting in surprise. As he tries to understand the situation, the king remains silent with a restrained smile. The princess just smiles, leaving everyone confused and speechless at the unexpected declaration. The king approaches and comments that his daughter seems to have special regard for Lythe. Relieved that the king is not angry, Lythe relaxes. Then the king extends his hand, and they shake in acceptance. Right after the handshake, the king releases an intense and threatening aura. Everyone around feels the suffocating pressure. Lythe is terrified, thinking he might be killed. The king stares seriously and says it takes courage to try to win his daughter. The king is feared for his legendary strength. Rumors say he defeated an enemy camp alone and even killed a dragon with a single strike. His fame only adds pressure on Lythe. Lythe freezes as he feels the king's thirst for blood directed straight at him. The same king who defeated a dragon with a single strike now stares at him with deadly intensity. Even with the king's oppressive aura still lingering, he firmly holds Lythe's hand, smiling with a serious expression. The gesture contrasts with the vivid image of his raised sword, reinforcing the tension that everything could change at any moment. After testing Lythe with his intimidating presence, the king steps back and laughs, praising his strength. Lythe sighs in relief, thinking it would be his end. Iris watches with curiosity, while the king, still smiling, turns his attention to his daughter and calls her by name, Iris, with a more serious look. The king acknowledges Lythe's worth, saying his origin doesn't matter in the face of true skill. Then he promises to reward him with a duke title, or even make him his son-in-law if he keeps standing out. Iris is moved, and Lythe, surprised, is unexpectedly embraced by the king. Lythe praises the king, calling him kind, and Iris agrees excitedly. Jokingly, he says they'd make a great couple, leaving Iris embarrassed and unsure how to react. When he keeps calling her princess, she corrects him, telling him to call her just Iris, giving a direct order. Lythe asks where they will go now, calling Iris by name. She's surprised by his initiative, but soon smiles and admits she hasn't told him the destination yet. The cryptic answer leaves Lythe confused and curious. During training, a masked warrior firmly blocks his opponent's attack. The other young man, agile and determined, launches a precise jump, aiming a direct strike, showing this duel will be intense. The young warrior defeats his opponent with an acrobatic, precise strike. Meanwhile, Iris walks with Lythe down an elegant corridor and announces he will be introduced to the royal guard. Iris informs Lythe he will serve directly under her command. When they arrive in front of the guard's room, she recalls something important. Soon a swordsman with a serious air appears, giving a warning with his sword in hand. The swordsman who gave the warning starts a fight but is quickly knocked down. Watching the scene, another guard comments that maybe someone among the royal guards goes beyond the ordinary. After knocking down his opponent, the swordsman pins him to the ground and demands to know who is trying to kill him. Lythe watches surprised, not understanding what is happening. Lythe formally introduces himself to the king as the new royal guard, while Iris declares she chose him as her future husband. After a moment of silence, the king reacts comically and threateningly, saying Lythe is dead, leaving the young man completely confused. Iris officially presents Lythe as the new member of the royal guard in front of everyone. Soon after, another guard asks to speak for a presentation, indicating something more serious or important is coming. Lythe politely introduces himself as the new royal guard member, saying he is happy to meet them. The guards watch silently, but one steps forward, indicating something important is about to happen. Lythe is approached by one of the guards, who introduces himself as Larg, heir to a duke. He asks about Lythe's origin, expecting a noble answer, but Lythe answers firmly and simply, he is just a commoner. Tension between origins and merit starts to build in the group. Larg provokes Lythe, questioning how a commoner became a royal knight. He feigns interest, insinuating Lythe must be exceptional for that. With a sarcastic smile, he asks which knight order he came from. Iris watches silently as tension rises. Iris reveals Lythe was knighted that very day, surprising everyone. The revelation shocks Larg, who immediately advances with a tense expression, while Lythe and Iris react alert, ready to defend themselves. The atmosphere grows tense as Larg realizes Lythe was knighted and promoted directly to the 7th rank. He starts to look suspiciously, while Lythe, expecting this reaction, understands everyone would think the same way. Larg explodes with indignation upon learning Lythe was promoted to the 7th rank without deeds to justify it. He calls the situation absurd and starts questioning who authorized this decision, angrily pointing and drawing everyone's attention. Iris looks at Larg with superiority and says she approved Lythe's promotion. When questioned, she directly challenges him, implying he doubts Lyth's skills. The tension rises and Larg swallows nervously at the provocation. Iris suggests Lyth prove his skills in a quick duel. Larg immediately accepts, eager to personally test the rookie's strength. Lyth is surprised by the sudden decision, while another Royal Guard member reprimands Larg for disrespecting the princess. Captain Urs intervenes and forbids the duel between Larg and Lyth, saying Larg is still injured and not recovered. Despite protests, Urs holds his decision and instead proposes another way to test Lyth's skills. Lyth prepares for combat against Captain Urs himself, who takes responsibility to test his skills. Both face each other seriously, ready to measure their strength directly. While everyone comments on Captain Urs's overwhelming strength, considered one of the most powerful in the Royal Guard, Iris firmly states she believes in Lyth. Even facing such a feared opponent, she trusts his Holy Knight abilities. Urs sets the duel rules. No offensive or defensive skills allowed, only swords in direct combat, but with protective rings activated. With both sides agreeing, the duel officially begins. Lyth attacks with force, but realizes Urs is more resilient than expected. Without retreating, he changes strategy and starts testing his speed, circling Urs with quick movements and successive strikes. During the exchange, Lyth feels Urs's strength impact, noticing the weight in his own movements. Still, he continues determined. Urs, surprised by Lyth's endurance, acknowledges his strength in the fight. Spectators begin recognizing Lyth's strength, including Larg, who reluctantly admits his talent just by watching. Iris watches silently, impressed. Urs, feeling the pressure, advances more seriously in the duel. Urs attacks with full power, and Lyth barely holds the blow. The impact reveals the captain's true intensity, leaving the young man surprised by the crushing force he faces. Lyth is hit by a direct strike from Urs and violently thrown against the upper floor's railing. The impact is so strong it destroys part of the structure, shocking the observers. Despite the strong throw, Lyth quickly recovers. He admits he couldn't block the previous blow, but decides to change his stance. With a determined look, he jumps toward the opponent, taking a decisive offensive position. Lyth charges down with his sword, determined to turn the tide with a direct attack. Captain Urs recognizes the strategy and, with a fierce shout, replies he won't hold back either. Both are now ready to fight with everything they have. The characters watch in surprise as something falls from the sky. The scene changes to another place, where a young man kneels, staring at the ground. A piece of wood falls violently near him, making clear he was almost hit. Behind him, a knight watches silently, conveying tension. During the battle, the protagonist charges with a shout and tries to attack from above. However, the enemy stays calm and calculates the right moment. When the protagonist stays too long in the air, Captain Urs takes advantage of the opening and applies his special strike. Captain Urs picks up the cracked piece of wood and watches silently. In front of everyone, he admits his defeat. The revelation shocks those present, who react surprised by the honesty and unexpected outcome of the fight. The knight recalls underestimating his opponent. He thought he could handle the attack, but the strength shown went far beyond his expectations, making clear how dangerous the adversary really is. Urs admits that without using his skill, he would have lost. Even activating his power, he was fairly defeated. The others watch surprised, impressed by the captain's honest admission of defeat. After acknowledging defeat, Urs praises the young warrior's potential, saying it will be exciting to see him grow stronger from now on. The scene ends with everyone gathered in the courtyard, marking the end of the confrontation and the start of a new respect among them. The captain announces he received a new mission and can no longer protect the princess. The responsibility now falls to Lyth, who reacts surprised and confused when named the new personal guard, not fully understanding what is happening. Lyth sets out on a mission to escort Princess Iris to the Grand Duchy of Grawl. Although there are only 3 guards, Captain Urs fully trusts Lyth's strength and believes he will handle the task. As the carriage travels, the princess remains silent, focused. The other 2 guards on the mission are introduced. Larg, serious in appearance, and Lieutenant Zack, known for his dedication and sincerity. Zack trains even during the mission, encouraging Larg to stay in shape and not lose to the rookie Lyth. As Lyth prepares for the trip, the princess calls him and reminds him of a previous warning. There may be an assassin infiltrated among the royal knights. The revelation brings tension, suggesting the mission will be more dangerous than it seems. The princess reveals she obtained confidential information from the knights and was almost killed by an assassin. Since then, she lost trust in the royal order's personnel sector. Suspicious, she believes the traitor is among them. The princess reveals she suspects the assassin is connected to Princess Camilla, her half-sister. Worried about possible betrayals, she personally chose Lyth to be by her side. Before leaving, she asks him to meet her at night to reveal more information. At night, Exhausted after training, Lithe rests in his room, complaining about body aches. Remembering the princess's request, he gets up and starts looking for Iris's room, still unsure where she is staying. Entering the princess's room, Lithe is surprised by Iris, who suddenly grabs him and hugs him tightly. Confused and not understanding the situation, he reacts surprised, calling her name in shock. Iris looks closely at Lithe and, with a teasing smile, asks if he wants to spend the night with her. Before he can react, she orders him to be silent, saying it's an order, leaving him even more confused and unsure how to respond. Iris continues teasing Lithe with a direct and firm gaze. He clearly doesn't know how to act and stays still in the unexpected situation. The atmosphere between them intensifies, leaving it unclear if her attitude is serious or part of a bigger plan. Lithe tries to leave the room quickly, visibly embarrassed, while Iris enjoys the situation. Zack appears worried, asking if something happened. Despite the strange mood, Iris keeps her composure and allows him in, while Lithe wonders how he ended up in that situation. Zack reports he received an alert from Larg. A group of thieves is coming to attack the place. Facing urgency, he recommends immediate evacuation. Lithe and Iris become alert, realizing the situation got serious. A knight rushes in, demanding the princess flee immediately, saying there's no time to lose. But as he approaches from behind, his look and hidden hand movement reveal suspicious intentions. Iris notices something strange, her expression turning serious and distrustful. Zack reveals his betrayal by trying to attack the princess from behind. Lithe acts fast and blocks the blow, demanding explanations. Surprised, he accuses Zack of treason, but the lieutenant only smiles with a sinister look, confirming his ill intentions. Zack reveals his plan: eliminate Lithe and Iris to erase any proof of his betrayal. Iris confirms her suspicions, stating he is the infiltrated assassin. With a cruel look and sword in hand, Zack prepares to attack mercilessly. Zack casts a spell called Stone Lance and throws a huge stone spear toward Lithe and Iris. The attack is quick and powerful, forcing them to retreat immediately. Iris watches the assault with a serious expression, aware of the danger. Zack uses another powerful spell, Stone Hand. Giant stone hands rise from the ground trying to grab Lithe and Iris. They try to escape, but the attack is fast and dangerous, leaving Lithe alarmed by the severity of the situation. The stone hand grabs Lithe, immobilizing him. Iris watches desperately, unable to help him in time. At the critical moment, a mysterious creature appears and attacks fiercely, surprising Zack and breaking the spell's concentration. Zack advances confidently and taunts Lithe, saying he's not as impressive as rumored. Lithe tries to react but is weakened. Iris watches the tense situation, preparing herself while Zack approaches ready to finish the attack. Zack reveals his final plan: write a false report saying he arrived at the scene and saw Lithe assassinating the princess, then pretend he defeated him. This would erase any suspicion against him. Satisfied with his plot, he cruelly smiles and sentences Lithe to death. Lithe tries to punch Zack with a direct hit, but the impact barely affects him. Zack reacts with momentary surprise, then arrogantly laughs, mocking Lithe's effort and saying the blow didn't even tickle. During the confrontation, Lithe awakens a new power. Stone fragments surround his body, and he acquires the same skills as Zack: Stone Lance and Stone Hand. Now mastering earth magic, Lithe prepares to retaliate with full force. Lithe counterattacks using the spell Stone Hand, the same technique as Zack. Surprised and panicked, Zack is grabbed by the Stone Hand and screams desperately, realizing his own powers are used against him. With Zack completely immobilized, Lithe channels his magic and fires a powerful close-range fire lance. The fire spear pierces with destructive force, ending the fight decisively and overwhelmingly. Zack, badly wounded, can hardly believe what happened before collapsing. The room is left with a huge hole in the floor, a result of the devastating attack. Iris asks about Lithe's injury, but he reassures her he is fine, though still shaken by what he just faced. While Lithe is still recovering, Urs appears praising his performance and saying he expected great things from him. Suddenly someone screams desperately, "Iris, no!" and Urs's expression subtly changes, suggesting something serious is about to happen. Earlier, Zack demonstrated his combat skills with devastating moves: Lieutenant Punch, Lieutenant Beam, and even a special transformation. Lithe and Iris watched impressed, recognizing the kingdom's lieutenants as true power monsters. A messenger rushes to Lord Ride with an important report. Upon hearing it concerns Lithe, the noble immediately changes his expression, becoming serious and thoughtful, indicating Lithe's name carries great weight and importance. Lord Ride learns that Lithe was recently appointed as a royal guard. The news visibly surprises him, showing this sudden appointment has significant and perhaps worrying implications in the political or military scene. The messenger informs that Lith passed the night exam with excellence and was immediately promoted to the 7th rank. The revelation is so surprising that Lord Ride reacts sharply, standing up forcefully, showing this sudden rise may interfere with bigger plans. Lord Ride reacts angrily, learning Lith became a royal guard and was promoted to the 7th rank. He calls him incompetent and says he has no class to justify it. The messenger, however, explains Princess Iris witnessed Lith using Holy Knight skills during the exam, which was enough to secure his promotion. Upon hearing Lith used a Holy Knight skill, Lord Ride loses control and grabs the messenger, demanding explanations. Furious, he shouts, "It's absurd." The messenger, terrified, admits he also doesn't understand how it happened, leaving the noble even more frustrated. During the conversation, it is revealed Lord Kite is already aware of Lith's rise. With a serious and determined look, Kite confirms his position, making clear that the situation involving Lith now involves high-ranking figures and will be taken seriously. Two goblins chat excitedly until they notice something strange coming from the forest. One is brutally attacked and falls to the ground, with his mouth open, dead instantly. The group reacts shocked, but it's still unclear who or what caused the attack. Lord Kite appears before the goblins with a cold smile, apologizing for interrupting their meeting. With dominant presence and weapon in hand, he easily eliminates one goblin, leaving the others terrified before his overwhelming power. A goblin tries to attack Lord Kite from behind, but is quickly noticed. With a single brutal move, Kite hits him with enormous force, throwing the enemy far and showing once again his absolute power. Kite calmly faces the goblins ahead. One tries to surprise him with a direct attack, but Kite intercepts with a devastating punch to the shield, violently throwing the creature away. The power difference is overwhelming. Kite activates the skill Celestial Boost, drastically increasing his strength and speed. Enemies around are shocked to see him using a Holy Knight technique, something they considered impossible for someone like him. Suspicion and fear spread. They don't believe a mere rookie could have such high power without cheating. While Kite dominates the battlefield, the goblins watch in shock. One reflects with envy and frustration. Kite is already 7th rank, while he is still 9th, the lowest level. The power gap becomes clear as Kite brutally crushes one monster with a devastating strike, showing he no longer belongs to the same level as the others. While Kite faces a new enemy, another outraged observer reflects silently. He can't accept that someone like Kite, without a defined class, has exclusive Holy Knight skills and ranks above him. To him, it seems a cruel joke, but reality hits hard. Even without official status, Kite keeps crushing opponents with power that can't be ignored. The monster advances brutally, shaking the ground with each step. But Kite, staying calm, extends his arm prepared for impact. His eyes show absolute focus, ready to counterattack without hesitation. Kite raises his sword, wrapped in celestial energy, and strikes powerfully against the monster. The blade descends with destructive force, breaking the enemy's attack with a cutting glow. Kite's attack hits directly, throwing enemies into the air like dolls. The goblins are knocked down with no chance to react. Amid the dust, a figure in armor slowly approaches. On top of a pile of defeated enemies, Kite watches calmly. A man approaches and calls his name, asking him not to panic. Tension rises with the arrival of this new mysterious presence. A blonde knight looks at Kite with disdain, convinced Lith's rise to 7th rank is a fraud. He points to an upcoming duel tournament, saying it's the perfect chance for Kite to prove his worth and claim the title for himself. The blonde knight explains the tournament is for knights with less than 3 years of experience. Winning guarantees the 7th rank automatically, just like he earned. He looks at Kite confidently, suggesting this is the only legitimate way to climb. Kite accepts the tournament challenge without hesitation. Confident in his Holy Knight skills, he declares he has no chance of losing, staring at his rival with determination. The commander orders Kite to win the tournament and surpass Lith. Determined, Kite watches Lith silently, keeping those words as a new goal. The man asks the king if he is all right. The king replies that he is fine despite the situation. Another character looks surprised and hesitates before speaking. A clearly tense character asks the captain why he is there. The captain calmly tells him to calm down. The captain reveals that he has been watching all along, close to the king. He explains that he kept the guards to a minimum to catch the assassin off guard, but only superficially. The captain says that since the other fought the assassin alone, he didn't need to show up. The woman comments that they noticed the lieutenant's suspicious behavior. The man just replies that he understands. The woman asks why such a reckless group would plan to assassinate the king. The captain explains it is probably a plan by Princess Camilla to take the throne. The man recognizes the princess's name, remembering she is Iris's younger half-sister. The woman calls out the name Lyth. The woman warns there will be a duel tournament next week, with many important people from the kingdom attending. She has a feeling Camilla will be there too. Lyth thinks the royal family's personal relationships are complicated. The woman calls Lyth's attention, and he confirms he is listening. The woman asks Lyth to show his strength and make the enemies realize they can't face them carelessly. Lyth becomes serious, clenches his fist in determination, and says he understands. Meanwhile, the captain remains thoughtful, observing the surroundings. The city is busy with people on the streets and merchants calling customers. In the middle of the crowd, someone notices something and calls others' attention, pointing at something or someone. The Central Order of Knights group arrives in the city, drawing attention from the people around. Some admire them and think they are amazing. Among the knights are Sarah, Claire, and Cindy. Someone calls for Sarah, surprising her. Lith and Iris appear together, catching everyone's attention. Sarah confirms she knows Princess Iris and remembers thinking of recruiting her for the royal guard. Cindy asks why the princess is with Lyth. Iris explains she personally appointed Lyth as her royal guard. Lyth thanks Sarah, saying he couldn't have done it alone, as she shared her power with him. Sarah, surprised and embarrassed, admits she owes Lyth a lot. Iris teases Sarah, asking if she has feelings for Lyth, making Sarah nervous. Sarah gets nervous and tries to explain, but Iris jokes that it makes things easier. People nearby notice the tension and comment that it's a love triangle. Lyth watches the scene, confused. Iris smiles and says they are now rivals. Iris confirms they are rivals and tells Sarah to win the tournament and join the royal guard so she can work alongside Lyth. Sarah hesitates, but before responding, someone shouts, "Thief!" drawing everyone's attention to a situation in the street. A thief with ice abilities threatens the citizens, who flee in panic. The princess orders them to prioritize the people's safety and to chase the thief. Lyth and the others prepare to act. The thief shouts that, after driving the residents away, he will start looting. Meanwhile, he throws a large stone toward them. A hooded man appears with 2 guards behind him, smiling mysteriously. The hooded man taunts the thief, calling him a big fly in the air. The thief reacts angrily, accepting the challenge and chasing after him. The hooded man launches a powerful attack that explodes in the sky instantly. Everyone is surprised by the speed and force of the strike. The hooded man taunts, saying he expected more entertainment. 2 guards tell him to stop playing around and say they need to leave. Lyth asks the princess if she knows the hooded man. She replies yes, he is Julius Argyle, the sage of the Eastern Knights Order. The map shows the Lawrence Empire, a nation protected by elite knights famous for their combat skills. As always, geniuses from all over the country gathered this year to sharpen their skills in a tournament. This is the duel tournament of the Lawrence Empire takes place at the Polaris Coliseum Arena, where a large crowd watches the battles. The crowd in the Polaris Coliseum Arena is excited and ready for the tournament to start. An announcer asks the audience if they are prepared for the event. A presenter tells the audience that over the years, many heroes have emerged victorious in the duel tournament. The winner will claim the 7th title. She challenges the new knights to discover who will be the strongest. Before the tournament begins, the nation's guardians are introduced to the audience. They are known by all, considered the peak of strength and the standard for new knights. The country's peace is protected by them. The arrival of Captain Leona Frost of the Central Knights Order is announced, and the crowd gets excited. Someone comments that Leona is still very popular, while another person finds the noise strange. Captain Rigel Radner of the Western Knights Order enters the arena. He is known for winning all battles with his strong defense. Rigel tries to bet with Leona on who will last longer until the tournament ends, suggesting celebrating with drinks if he wins. Leona is surprised and tries to get his attention. Captain Ralph Sullivan of the Eastern Knights Order is introduced. He is known for annihilating monsters and staying calm in any situation. He bets on the newcomers of his order, saying they have talent. The presenter announces the first princess of the Lawrence Empire, full of grace and elegance. She is seen as a goddess and loved by the people because of her generous heart. Princess Iris Lawrence is introduced. Her tireless efforts maintain peace in the royal capital. The public admires her, commenting on her beauty and striking presence. Some spectators comment about Lyth, who should be protecting the princess but is not present. The presenter announces the first competitor of the battle. The first competitor enters the arena. He is a knight from the west, with a body that looks like plate armor. He dominates his opponents with tremendous strength, like a volcano ready to erupt at any moment. The Western Knight is about to explode with power and strength. The other competitors watch, impressed by his destructive potential. The Knight Maurice Brute is announced as a tank. The audience is impressed, feeling the force of his fight and his fighting spirit. Maurice Brute is a promising rookie who has already proven his worth on the battlefield. His opponent is a knight from the Central Order, gifted with divine powers, granted by God. Maurice's opponent is Sarah from the Central Order, known for her exceptional sword skills. Leth watches and encourages Sarah not to lose. Sarah refuses to lose. The presenter announces that her class is Holy Knight, a rising star among the Central Knights. Sarah Scott enters the arena, determined to win. The presenter calls the competitors to the center of the arena and explains the rules. Being knocked down or stepping out of the ring for a count of 10 means defeat. The fight can be stopped if necessary, and both will use protective rings to avoid lethal attacks. If the ring breaks or a fighter gives up, the opponent wins. A priestess casts a protective barrier around the arena to ensure safety during the fight. The barrier materializes around the site. The presenter starts the first round of the tournament between the Western Knights and the Central Knights. The fight begins. Sarah is determined as she advances with her sword in hand. Maurice Brute charges with full force and knocks Sarah to the ground with a powerful blow. The narrator tells that he was born and raised in a small village between the Lawrence Empire and Novelturnia. They lived in peace with cattle until one day. A bloodthirsty tiger attacked the village, causing panic among the residents who try to flee. The residents try to fight the bloodthirsty tiger while waiting for help from the knights. Even without knowing if the call was received, they resist with all they have. The villagers discuss whether the knights have arrived yet, but no one is sure. Meanwhile, the tiger corners them, and a young man runs to protect them, despite the imminent danger. The young man tries to protect the others, but ends up being brutally bitten by the tiger. The scene is quick and desperate, with everyone around shocked by the attack. The soldiers finally arrive at the village. One orders the residents to flee quickly while the team prepares to face the tiger. After seeing the courage of one villager, a knight thanks him with a respectful look. One knight confidently jumps and declares he will take down the beast with a single strike. He aims directly at the tiger, determined to end the threat once and for all. The knight lands with brutal force, crushing the tiger in a single blow. The impact is so intense that the ground cracks under his feet, and the beast falls defeated before everyone. The knight congratulates the young man for the courage shown and asks his name. Still out of breath, he replies, "Maurice Brute, sir." The knight smiles and thanks him, memorizing the name of the boy who faced the beast. Maurice recalls the moment he was recognized by Rigel after protecting the village. From that day, the desire to become stronger was born in him. Strong like Captain Rigel, Maurice remembers the path he took, his training, joining the Western Knights Order under Rigel's command, and the promise to become the tournament winner. Now, he faces Sarah confidently. Sure, he is no longer the same. He has become stronger. Sarah quickly advances, unleashing a series of attacks against the heavily armored opponent. He reacts with strength, trying to block with his huge shield. She stays agile, dodging and retreating, preparing for the next strike. Her eyes show full concentration. She is determined to win. Sarah activates her technique, Thousand Frost, rushing in with a fast cut. At the same moment, her opponent raises his shield with the skill Steel Citadel, blocking with full force. The impact between the two techniques causes an explosion of energy, marking the direct clash between offense and defense. The previous impact leaves the knight unbalanced. Taking advantage of the opening, Sarah prepares to attack. While he activates the technique Steel Chariot to try to defend himself, she sees a clear chance to counterattack with precision. Sarah moves with agility, dodges the opponent's blow, and throws him away with a quick and precise attack. Upon landing, she slides gracefully to the center of the arena, creating a magical mark on the ground, indicating the use of a special skill. Maurice and Sarah face each other firmly in the center of the arena. He, imposing with his heavy armor. She, confident with her sword raised before her face. Both show they are ready to decide the fight with all they have. The audience watches in tense silence as something surprising is about to happen. Looks of surprise and apprehension spread through the stands. The narrator, impacted, can barely contain the reaction. Everyone realizes that something decisive is about to mark this duel. The duel between Sarah and Maurice continues fiercely, with neither giving way. Their strength seems balanced. Meanwhile, the veterans watch closely, commenting on Maurice's experience. Despite his youth, he shows impressive combat control, wielding a heavy warhammer naturally, something rare even among veteran knights. Since joining the Western Knights Order, Maurice never backed down from monsters or beasts. He always stayed at the front line, protecting his companions. His constant courage in dangerous battles earned him so much combat experience. The crowd is shocked by the performance of the newly arrived girl to the Order. The fight is unpredictable. No one can look away for even a second. Among the spectators, a hooded man watches everything carefully with a slight smile, fiddling with a cube. For him, the fight is only getting more interesting. After a brief pause, the opponent addresses Sarah abruptly, calling her only you. Offended, she reacts by demanding respect and stating her name firmly. The knight then acknowledges her, repeating her name in a calmer tone, as if memorizing it. In the middle of the battle, Morris suddenly stops and confesses his feelings to Sarah, saying he fell in love the moment he saw her fight. Surprised, she reacts unsure of what to say. The audience is shocked by the sudden twist. While Sarah is still shaken by the confession, the other characters react with surprise and sarcastic comments. One explains that Morris's squad consists only of men, which might explain his impulsiveness in falling in love. Iris enjoys this situation, while a visibly nervous Sarah just sighs, unsure how to respond. Sarah looks at Morris firmly and says she will give her answer after the fight, making it clear she won't hold back. Morris smiles confidently, saying that's exactly what he expects from her. Both prepare to continue the duel with even more determination. Sarah leaps with speed, destroying the ground with the impact of her sprint. The battlefield trembles and shatters beneath her feet. She faces her opponent with a serious expression, determined to finish the fight. Sarah falls to her knees from the impact, clearly at a disadvantage. Morris advances without hesitation, smashing the ground with force as the commentator shouts that he shows no mercy. Sarah tries to move forward, but her leg fails mid-motion. In pain and surprise, she notices the sudden limitation. Still, she forces her body to continue, determined not to retreat. Morris unleashes a wave of brutal force by hitting the ground with his hammer, sending stones flying in all directions. With a confident look, he challenges Sarah to run if she can, aware of the advantage he just created. Sarah plants her sword firmly in the ground and uses the momentum to launch herself into the air, ignoring the destruction around her. Up high, she prepares for her next attack with precision and total focus. Sarah surprises everyone by stabbing her sword into the ground and leaping into the air, dodging the brutal attack. Then she seizes the opening and launches a fast counterattack, putting her opponent on the defensive. Sarah spins with a powerful kick aimed at Morris's neck, surprising even the narrator with the attack's precision and speed. The tension rises on the battlefield, with everyone focused on the outcome of the strike. Morris blocks the kick firmly, showing the solidity of his defense. The crowd is impressed by his resistance, reinforcing his title as the true tank of the fight. During the duel, the girl praises her opponent's skill while gripping her sword tightly. The knight, with a large shield, says he can block any attack. He acknowledges her talent, but fully trusts his defense. From afar, she watches and concludes her only option is to break his shield to win. The girl charges with full force, jumping straight at the shield bearer. She attacks relentlessly, trying to hit the weak points in the defense. Her blows are fast and precise, but the man keeps his guard firm. Even so, she doesn't back down and keeps pressing, determined to break his shield. Sarah hurts her hand while training alone. Her father, Dulce Scott, a blacksmith, notices and comes to her. He carefully examines her hand, asks her to be more cautious, and helps her recover. While Sarah watches curiously, she asks her father how he manages to break such hard stones with a single strike. Dulce smiles confidently and asks her to pay attention. He prepares to show his hammer technique, holding a stone in his hands. Dulce teaches Sarah to feel the stone with her hands and identify the most fragile spot. He explains the stone is made of various minerals, and there is always an easier place to break. With a precise strike in the right spot, he splits the stone in half easily, leaving Sarah impressed. Sarah asks what to do if she can't find the stone's weak point. Dulce smiles calmly, saying in that case, it's even simpler, and prepares to show another way to solve it. Sarah keeps attacking the same spot persistently. Gradually, a crack appears in the enemy's shield. With a determined look, she aims precisely and prepares to concentrate all her strength on that exact place. Sarah focuses all her power on the final strike and unleashes her technique with full force. The blade hits directly the shield's weak point, which cracks and explodes into pieces, completely surprising the opponent. The impact destroys the warrior's shield, leaving everyone around surprised. Sarah explains she repeatedly attacked the same spot until weakening it, creating an opening for her final technique. The observers comment, impressed, that such a resistant shield shouldn't have broken so easily. The observers remark on Sarah's precision, amazed by her skill in always hitting the same spot. One of the leaders concludes she had been training even before joining the order. Impressed, she declares she would love to have Sarah as part of the Royal Knight's order. Others present are surprised and watch her reaction carefully. The warrior looks at the shield's wreckage on the ground and enthusiastically praises Sarah, saying he already knew there was something special about her. Surprised and impressed, he admits he had never witnessed anything like it before, while she stares silently, moved by his words. Even with the shield destroyed, the warrior rises with renewed energy and warns that the real fight is just beginning. He launches into attack with determination, surprising the audience, who watch the scene with astonishment and expectation. While the opponent prepares to continue the fight, Sarah surprises everyone by sheathing her sword. The unexpected action draws the crowd's attention, who react without understanding the reason behind her decision. Everyone is confused, seeing Sarah put away her sword in the middle of the fight. The warrior stares at her, puzzled, while the spectators wonder if she intends to keep fighting without a weapon, and how she will face Morris like that. Morris charges with full force, preparing a direct hammer attack. Sarah, even without drawing her sword, stays calm and watches carefully. The clash between them nears, and tension on the field rises. Morris unleashes a heavy hammer strike, causing destruction around. But Sarah, with quick and precise movements, dodges easily, keeping the advantage even without drawing her sword. Morris keeps pressing with fast and strong attacks, but Sarah dodges precisely, using agility and control. Even facing the opponent's brute strength, she remains firm and focused, waiting for the right moment to react. In the stands, the observers notice Morris is losing control. Some think it's because of the shield's destruction, but a more experienced knight understands the real cause of the anger is Sarah fighting without even drawing her sword, which he sees as a direct provocation. Morris advances angrily, but notices Sarah's calm and confident gaze. She keeps smiling while facing him closely, showing no fear. The tension between them grows, and Morris tries to control himself in the face of the silent provocation. Morris tries to catch Sarah by surprise, but she reacts with a quick and precise move. With a single powerful blow, she throws him away, breaking the ground around and surprising everyone with her strength, even without using the sword. Surprised by Sarah's strength, Morris tries to react, but she keeps pressing. With a precise strike to the chin, she lifts him off the ground and throws him with a powerful kick, completely dominating the fight using only her body. Morris, irritated and confused, demands Sarah draw her sword, feeling disrespected. He yells, asking if he is being mocked. Meanwhile, she keeps her gaze firm and focused, ready to act at the right moment without losing calm. Morris tries to hit Sarah with the hammer, but she quickly approaches, surprising him with a direct strike. In an agile movement, she knocks him down with force, completely immobilizing him on the ground. Everyone around watches, shocked by how she won without even drawing the sword. With Morris fully dominated on the ground, Sarah finally draws her sword with a confident smile. She says she is fulfilling his request, but now that the fight is decided, the action sounds more like a final provocation than a real threat. Morris, recognizing defeat, admits with a smile that she was right. The crowd erupts in celebration, cheering for Sarah's impressive victory and her unique way of fighting. The judge announces the end of the duel, confirming Sarah's victory in the first round. The audience celebrates while she watches the arena with a calm and confident look, crowned as the winner. One of the knights praises Leona for her subordinate's performance. He highlights that Sarah's strategy to keep her sword sheathed to provoke Morris was smart. He admires her ability to use the enemy's emotional imbalance to counterattack at the right moment, considering it a well-planned tactic. Despite the praise, one of the more experienced knights warns that Sarah's strategy was risky and could have caused serious injuries if it had failed. He asks if anyone had noticed her talent since she joined the Central Order. The serious expressions show Sarah had attracted attention from the start. Leona reveals that Sarah joined the Order only because she is a holy knight, and that she herself was unaware of the girl's abilities. The direct answer surprises the others, making the atmosphere a bit uncomfortable. After the fight, Morris calls Sarah and asks for an answer about a confession he made earlier. Surprised, she clearly doesn't remember, but tries to cover it up by saying she hasn't forgotten. Inside, however, she panics, realizing she had completely forgotten. Sarah rejects Morris's confession with an awkward smile, saying she's sorry. He asks if it's because he's not strong enough, lowering his gaze, visibly disappointed. Sarah, serious, denies that idea, making it clear his strength was not the reason. With a sincere smile, Sarah reveals she already likes someone else. She speaks softly but firmly, clarifying that her refusal is not about Morris's strength, but about the feelings she already has for someone. With Morris defeated both in battle and in heart, attention turns to Sarah, who runs excitedly to Lith. She enthusiastically asks if he watched the fight, happy to have won, and clearly wanting to share the moment with him. While Sarah talks to Lythe, a new character appears unexpectedly. His arrival surprises both, especially Lythe, who reacts scared and confused seeing this person there. The atmosphere shifts instantly, leaving a mystery about the reason for this new individual's presence. Two men stare at Lith seriously, and one demands an immediate explanation. Tension rises as he directly questions why Lith is there, making clear his presence was not expected. The duel between the Central Order and the Western Order ends with Sarah's victory in the opening fight. The intense battle excites the crowd, which cheers loudly. The presenter highlights the fight's level and how the audience was completely engaged. After the intense battle, the arena is completely damaged. The organizers announce a break for maintenance, asking the audience to wait a bit before the next fight begins. As Lyth approaches silently, the two men keep pressuring him. One insists authoritatively, asking again why he is there, while the other mocks, asking if he's pretending not to hear. The tension among the three grows. Hearing his name shouted, Lyth is startled. Sarah tries to lighten the mood, excitedly saying he passed the night exam, joined the royal guard, and was even assigned to protect the princess. Despite the good news, the atmosphere stays tense with Duke Ride and his ally present. The mood heats when Sarah tries to defend Lyth, but is coldly cut off. One man interrupts her, saying he didn't ask for her opinion and that outsiders shouldn't interfere. He dismisses her words and tells her to step back, making clear this was a matter directly with Lyth. The light-haired young man sarcastically tells how his older brother, the original heir of the ducal family, lived comfortably. However, due to a divine revelation declaring him talentless, he lost the right to succession. Because of this, the young man himself was named the new Duke heir, proudly assuming the position. Lyth, head lowered, thanks his brother respectfully. The reply comes with disdain, while Sarah tries to understand his intention. Suddenly, another man approaches angrily, yells at Sarah, and says she shouldn't feel special just because she won once, trying to humiliate her publicly. Lyth steps forward with a serious look and grabs the other young man's arm, who soon realizes he can no longer move his hand. The mood shifts and tension rises. The aggressor is surprised and stunned, while Lyth stays firm, making it clear he won't let this pass. Lyth bows his head before his father, sincerely admitting he failed to receive any divine blessing and did not meet the family's expectations. He acknowledges the shame he caused and, with a downcast look, apologizes for tarnishing his father's name. Lyth reveals that, after leaving home, he accidentally awakened an ability. With effort, he passed the night exam on his own merit and became a royal guard. This surprises everyone, including Sarah. Meanwhile, Kite watches with contempt, claiming he should be the true heir of the family, the Holy Knight. Lyth comments with a forced smile that being expelled from the ducal family was the right thing since he hadn't received any class. To him, someone without a role assigned by the gods simply had no value in that world. Right after Lyth's outburst, his father punches the ground with such force it shatters everything around, leaving everyone shocked. Without saying a word, he stands still before the rubble, while everyone watches silently, trying to understand the reason for that sudden explosion. Surrounded by debris, Lyth's father orders him to leave without hesitation, saying he no longer belongs there. Despite the cold and firm look, someone stands against his words, firmly stating that it is not true. The presence of an imposing figure completely changes the mood. Iris Lawrence, the first princess of the Lawrence Empire, appears and asks the Duke to lift his head. Everyone is surprised by her arrival. With a smile, she breaks the silence and recalls the time since her last meeting with Duke Ride. The princess reveals she saw Lyth's skills during the night exam and, impressed, personally recruited him for the royal guard. She comments that his name seemed familiar. Soon after, she exposes that according to official records, he was expelled from the family, which surprises everyone, including Lyth's father, who receives the weight of this revelation directly from her. The Duke replies to Princess Iris, explaining that in that world, the class granted by the gods is absolute and hierarchical. He says he served as a holy knight in the Eastern Order for many years and explains the rankings. Holy knights and saints are high class, mages and warriors are middle class, and peasants and merchants are low class. The audience listens attentively to the explanation of this strict social structure. It is explained that receiving a high-level class is like being recognized by the gods themselves. The duel tournament exists precisely as a stage for these elites to prove their worth in combat. It is revealed that the young man recruited to the Royal Guard did not receive a divine class from the gods. Despite the skills that led to his selection, he is technically someone without divine recognition, something considered abnormal or inferior in that world. One of the knights states the protagonist is practically someone abandoned by the gods for not having received a divine class. This causes astonishment, mainly because he holds an important position, even without the sacred recognition that everyone else has. The protagonist is publicly humiliated. A knight says the gods didn't even acknowledge his existence, so he shouldn't be there. Sarah watches the scene, surprised and worried hearing Lyth's name involved in the accusation. Sarah silently observes the heavy mood between Lyth and his father. Even shocked by Duke Ride's coldness, treating his own son as unworthy, she subtly holds Lyth's hand. In her heart, despite understanding the Duke's words, she believes differently. She believes in Lyth. The woman with a hat states firmly that everyone has a role to fulfill, regardless of classes granted by the gods. each citizen contributes with unique abilities, and weaknesses can be compensated by mutual support. To her, a person's value is not in a title, but in their actions. She tells that when she was almost murdered, the boy beside her rushed to protect her without hesitation, facing the enemy directly and saving her life. To her, this desire to protect others is a valuable quality that cannot be granted by an oracle. It is something genuine and rare. The noble looks seriously at Princess Iris, and, after seeing her approach the god-rejected youth, questions her directly. He asks if she intends to defy the will of the gods themselves, highlighting the weight of her decision and the tension it may cause in the kingdom. Iris replies with a provocative smile, deflecting the pressure by saying, "Who knows?" Then, enthusiastically, she makes a suggestion, surprising the Duke, who watches carefully, suspicious of the princess's intentions. The arena, now fully restored by the priest's magic, is announced ready to continue the tournament. The narrator excites the crowd, saying that, although the first fight was intense, there is much more to come. The tournament's second round is announced with enthusiasm. The energetic presenter prepares the audience for the next fight while the crowd reacts with expectation, curious about the new competitors about to enter. A new warrior is announced with great anticipation. He is described as someone blessed with celestial powers, able to dominate opponents with explosive strength and speed. The audience waits eagerly to see what kind of confrontation this unstoppable force will bring to the arena. Amid an impactful explosion in the arena's center, the strongest man appears before the crowd. The commentator announces excitedly, he comes from the Eastern Knights Order, holding the title of the tournament's greatest strength. The audience bursts into applause as the next competitor's name is announced, the Holy Knight Kite Wellesley. Confident, he presents himself in the center of the arena, displaying a firm posture and a provocative smile, while spectators watch with admiration and expectation. The presenter enthusiastically announces it is time to reveal Kite Wellesley's opponent. With everyone attentive, Iris calmly raises her hand and states she has a suggestion, leaving the crowd curious and surprised. Iris directly proposes that he prove his skills in the arena. The suggestion surprises those present, creating immediate tension in the air, while someone clenches their fist, signaling an important confrontation is about to happen. Iris's proposal surprises everyone. She decides to put Lith and Kite to face each other directly in the tournament. While Kite smiles arrogantly, Lith shows surprise. The princess, firm, watches the two with a confident look. Already decided. Iris suggests that, if Kite defeats Lith in the duel, he will be immediately promoted to 7th rank, even without winning the whole tournament. Ride counters, saying it won't be that simple, but she pressures him by reminding it will be a public fight, with no room for questions. Kite smiles, excited by the opportunity. Kite accepts the challenge enthusiastically, confident in victory. He states winning against a classless, like Lith, will be easy. Ride is surprised by Princess Iris's boldness, but does not contest. Lith and Iris watch silently while Kite declares he came to win the tournament. Ride looks at Kite seriously, grabs his shoulder, and orders him not to lose no matter what. He warns him not to let his guard down, showing the weight this confrontation has. Kite listens, surprised but attentive to the words. Kite shows confidence and disrespects his opponent, calling him a nobody without class. He says he will show the true power of a holy knight. Meanwhile, Ride walks silently, only giving the order, make sure to win. Lith watches seriously beside Sarah. The announcement of the opponent surprises everyone. He is recognized by royalty and was named to the royal guard, but his class is classless. The audience reacts with shock and confusion, while Iris only smiles silently, clearly confident in her choice. The revelation that the participant lacks a class causes uproar in the arena. A knight is incredulous and questions if it's really possible, while another tries to calm him down. The audience reacts with astonishment, but an older man watches seriously, surprised and worried, as if recognizing something important behind it. The crowd starts to hostile Lith as soon as they learn he is classless. Objects are thrown, while shouts of mockery and disdain echo from the stands. The presenter tries to contain the turmoil and asks for calm, but the audience demands Lith leave immediately. Despite this, he stays firm, holding his emotions amid public humiliation. While the crowd still murmurs, Iris watches the situation silently, visibly worried. Kite, on the other hand, keeps a confident and carefree smile. In the stands, high nobility watches attentively, showing no emotion. Duke Ride remains serious, ignoring the commotion. Kite asks the judge to start the fight immediately, ignoring the boos. The presenter agrees and begins the duel. The judge gives the signal and the second fight between Kite and Lith begins. The two face each other seriously in the arena's center, swords drawn while the crowd watches in tense silence. Kite maintains a provocative smile, while Lith adopts a firm and focused stance, ready for the confrontation. Kite activates his Celestial Boost skill and charges with explosive force, trying to end the fight with a single blow. The impact of his charge is so intense that even the narrator is startled by the pressure. Kite activates his technique Celestial Blade and goes all out to try to finish the fight with a single strike. The audience stirs, wondering if Lith will react in time against the overwhelming power of the attack. Lith watches in shock as Kite's attack hits the ground with devastating force, exploding in the arena's center and causing an impact that makes the crowd stand up in panic. The intensity of Kite's charge shows he is determined to end the fight overwhelmingly. As everyone watches in suspense, Kite falls to his knees, defeated. Silence takes over the arena. Iris watches confidently while the Duke keeps a serious expression. Sweat drips down Kite's face as he stares at the ground in shock, unable to accept the outcome. Leith presses Kite to the ground and places his blade at the back of his neck, ending the fight firmly and unquestionably. Defeated, Kite remains motionless, unable to react to the humiliation. Lith watches coldly and responds to Kite's previous arrogance with sarcasm, saying, "Finishing in an instant, huh?" On the ground, Kite is completely paralyzed, unable to move after the precise counterattack. The audience watches in surprise at the fall of the warrior who had bragged so much. Kite steps back confused and angry, not understanding how he was neutralized so easily. The commentator can't hide her surprise either. Lith stays firm while everyone around tries to understand how the classless turn the tables. Kite is unexpectedly defeated, falling to the ground before the crowd. Another participant watches, shocked, not understanding how everything happened so fast. Praises Lith's improvement during the fight. Meanwhile, it's explained that the technique used, the Celestial Blade, is a Holy Knight's ability, concentrating extreme power at the sword's tip to deliver a decisive strike. The Celestial Blade technique ends with an explosive release of concentrated magical power. The impact causes great destruction on the arena floor, revealing it as the supreme strike of the Holy Knights. Despite its devastating power, the technique has a weakness. If the enemy approaches before the explosion, the accumulated energy dissipates, and the attack loses all force. Taking advantage of the opening, Lith's opponent quickly closes in and lands a direct blow to the stomach, interrupting the technique before it could activate. With an agile move, the opponent firmly grabs Lith's sword and completely neutralizes it, leaving the warrior shocked and without a chance to react. Watches admiringly as Lith fully reads Kite's movements. Meanwhile, someone silently watches the fight, and a memory of support echoes in Lith's mind. "I believe in you." While Lith recalls encouraging words about proving his own strength, Kite watches dazed, not understanding how the situation quickly turned against him. The judge asks if Kite can still continue the duel. Visibly irritated and embarrassed, he quickly gets up, insists it was just a slip, and shouts that he would never lose to a useless, functionless person. The audience starts noticing Lith's surprising performance, even though he's considered classless. During the fight, even Kite is stunned by his strength. The crowd comments, surprised by the unexpected agility and skill of someone disbelieved from the start. The crowd gets excited seeing Lith, a classless, fighting an elite holy knight on equal terms. Meanwhile, some observers express frustration and tension, questioning the outcome of such an unexpected duel in front of so many spectators. As the duel continues, one observer realizes the gravity of the situation. If Lith loses, it will be seen as normal, but if he wins, he will be recognized as superior even to a holy knight. Regardless of the result, the knight's reputation suffers. Watching everything with a confident smile, Princess Iris is recognized for having orchestrated the situation masterfully. Someone silently praises her, admiring her strategy. During a moment of distraction, Lith is surprised by a frontal attack from Kite, who charges full force, managing to hit his defense with a direct impact. Lith is thrown to the ground by the blow, kicking up dust as he slides. Even injured, Kite does not waste the chance and prepares to continue the offensive. Kite jumps to execute the Celestial Blade technique again, trying to end the fight with full power. But Lith, already knowing the move's weakness, runs toward him and interrupts it before activation, stating it's useless. Kite panics as he realizes he will be stopped again. Lith delivers a powerful kick directly to Kite's stomach, throwing him forcefully to the ground. The impact impresses the crowd, who react in shock at the brutal turnaround. Kite is thrown out of the arena, and the disqualification timer starts. The countdown begins with the crowd's enthusiasm, while Lith watches attentively, ready for the duel's conclusion. Julius Argyle, sage of the Eastern Knights Order, watches the duel with interest. He acknowledges that even without a class, Lith completely dominated Kite, something surprising since the opponent is a holy knight and theoretically superior. Julius watches Lyth with an intrigued smile, calling him by his full name and admitting he is becoming increasingly interesting. Meanwhile, the countdown continues, and Kite, injured and desperate, tries to return to the arena before disqualification. Kite returns to the arena at the last moment, and the fight resumes. He advances with an arrogant shout, proclaiming himself the strongest despite his visible fatigue and wounds. At the moment Kite charges confidently, Lyth seizes an opening and lands a devastating blow to the opponent's face, nullifying his charge with precision and force. Lyth finishes the strike precisely, throwing Kite away. The crowd watches impressed, recognizing his strength. Meanwhile, Kite's allies show concern, and the opponent himself reacts in shock, not understanding how he was defeated so quickly. Lyth looks firmly at Kite, while the opponent, kneeling and powerless, watches him in shock. Silently, Lyth begins to say something decisive, ending the confrontation with a serene and imposing attitude. In a flashback, Lyth appears as a child, holding a piece of bread while looking at someone kneeling with torn clothes. With a firm and direct gaze, he says, "Give up already." The scene reveals a significant moment from his past. In another flashback, a bread seller offers freshly baked bread to Lyth, who buys 3 pieces. The merchant warns him about the city's dangers, full of thieves. Soon after, Lyth is surprised by a boy trying to steal his bread and running away. Right after being robbed, Lyth realizes his distraction, even though he was warned. He pays the baker and heads to the 4th district of the Lawrence Empire, a slum in the eastern outskirts, where only those marked as lower class by the gods live. The boy who stole from Lyth runs through the district's streets, panting. The narrative reveals that being labeled lower class results in discrimination and lack of opportunities, pushing many toward crime as the only way to survive. With no alternatives, they keep stealing, not out of malice, but necessity. Lyth finds the hungry boy and surprises him by offering bread. Calmly, he tells him not to eat so fast and advises him to stop stealing. The scene shows a gesture of compassion amid the harsh reality of the poor district. The boy tries to attack Lyth with a kick, surprised not to have noticed his approach. Confused and scared, he wonders who that guy is and how he moved without being noticed. Lyth easily dodges the attack and counters with a precise kick to the boy's stomach, throwing him to the ground. The young thief screams in pain as he falls, completely overwhelmed. As Lyth walks away, the boy calls him and begs to be taught the fighting technique. Determined, he says he wants to become strong too. Lyth turns around, surprised by the sincere request. While the boy trains punches by the river, Lyth watches silently. With a determined look, the boy comments that living in that city is hard, revealing his daily struggle for survival and strength. Sitting by the canal's edge, the boy explains why he believes Lyth helped him. He wants to be strong, to get food, and perform cool moves. Despite having stolen, he says Lyth forgave him, didn't call an adult, and even came to him alone. To him, this proves Lyth is a good person. With a sincere smile, the boy says he wants to become strong like Lyth. Touching the protagonist's heart, the scene ends with an image of a piece of bread, a symbol of hunger, struggle, and the beginning of this unexpected bond. After hearing the boy's words, Lyth throws something into the water, probably the bread, surprising him. Then he answers with a slight smile, saying that for someone to speak that way, there's something true behind it. The gesture marks the start of a respectful connection between the two. Lyth agrees to train the boy, but warns him not to give up halfway. The boy responds enthusiastically, promising to work hard. They exchange smiles and seal a new beginning side by side. Lyth introduces himself with a smile and extends his fist. The boy returns the gesture confidently, revealing his name, Kite. The two seal their new friendship with a fist bump, the beginning of a journey that would change their lives. Right after sealing the friendship, Lyth and Kite's training begins. Running through the streets, Kite questions why so much effort is needed. Exhausted, Lyth calmly answers that to defeat strong opponents, you need endurance and breath control. During training with wooden swords, Kite tries to keep pace but ends up getting hit for lowering his guard. Lyth calmly explains that even the feet need protection. Despite Kite's exhaustion, Lyth cheerfully warns that there are still 3 more sets after a break. During the break, Lyth gives bread to Kite, who thanks him but admits he's tired and has no appetite. Lyth insists eating is important, even without hunger, because without it, energy runs out. Surprised by Lyth's effort, Kite asks if he is a noble, and if he really needs to train so much. Lyth simply confirms. Lyth reveals his father has a combat class and is very strong. He explains that in the future, during the class division, they said he could also earn a high class. However, he admits his real reason for training so hard is to be recognized by his own father, because if he doesn't become strong, he believes he will never get that recognition. Kite listens silently, surprised by Lyth's sincerity. Kite comments that Lythe's father seems to have great expectations for him, thinking that's a good thing. Lythe, confused, asks if it's the same with Kite, but Kite responds vaguely, saying he doesn't know. His father only shows up at home occasionally, indicating a distant and cold relationship. During a training break, Kite excitedly remembers it's his mother's birthday and invites Lythe to go to his house and eat with his family. Lythe accepts with a smile, happy for the invitation. Lythe carefully holds the cake while Kite thanks him, somewhat embarrassed for not being able to pay. He says his mother will be very happy, smiling with excitement. Lythe just smiles back, pleased to help. Kite enters cheerfully with Lythe, telling his mother he brought a friend, and they also bought a cake. The mother greets them with a smile, saying the father just arrived too. Lythe tries to introduce himself politely, but seems hesitant seeing who is there. Upon entering with the cake, Lythe suddenly stops. He recognizes the man sitting at the table. It's his father. The cold, surprised look of the man meets Lythe's gaze, who freezes silently. The atmosphere changes completely. Lythe freezes before his father's authoritative voice, who orders him to sit. With wide eyes and tense body, he hesitates. The emotional impact is visible. Kite, noticing the discomfort, asks what's happening. The mood at the table becomes even tenser. Lythe stares at the man before him, trying to speak but freezing upon recognizing him as his father. The revelation shocks him. Kite, confused, watches without understanding what is going on. Surprised and shocked, Lythe stares at the man sitting at the table and loudly questions why he is there. The room's mood changes immediately, while everyone around watches silently. Lythe looks at the man at the table and, surprised, calls him father. Confused and angry, he demands to know why he is there, as the tension between the two grows heavy and intense. Hearing Lythe call the man father, he coldly and harshly tells him to shut up. The room's atmosphere thickens, and the woman beside him, frightened, asks why the child is referring to him as father. Kite tries to protect his mother while Lythe remains frozen holding the cake. The man praises Lythe's question and, with a cold smile, asks how he thinks someone becomes a noble. Lythe responds hesitantly, saying it is by having the strength of a knight. Holding the cake, his gaze reveals tension and insecurity in the presence of that man. The man confirms Lythe understood well. He declares he has always aimed for the position he holds and that if he didn't have strength, it would have been taken from him. While cutting meat on his plate, he coldly states that everything comes down to the survival of the strongest. The man reveals he reached the Duke position in just one generation, a rare feat achieved through strength. He says that to maintain this position, a strong successor is necessary. He looks directly at Lythe and firmly declares that, as the eldest son, the one chosen for this responsibility is him. Lythe's father continues his cold and direct speech. He explains that if Lythe does not obtain a high class by age 18, the family's future will be at risk. The pressure is clear. The destiny of the ducal house depends entirely on Lythe's performance at the class distribution ceremony. Lythe's father reveals that, as a precaution, he decided to prepare a second candidate to inherit the dukedom if Lythe fails. This candidate is Kite. He admits he intended to keep this secret until the class distribution ceremony. But now that everything has come to light, it can no longer be hidden. Kite is shocked by the revelation. Lythe's and Kite's father leaves after revealing the whole truth. Before leaving, he looks back over his shoulder and leaves one last demand, that neither of them disappoint him. The tension remains in the air, with both boys still shaken by the revelations. Filled with hatred and pain, Kite attacks Lythe angrily. Since the day of the revelation, his father has not appeared, and he blames Lythe for it. Screaming that it is all his fault, Kite vents his feelings in an intense duel. The fight between Lythe and Kite resumes with full force. Kite reveals his pain, saying his father only used him and his mother to protect his position. Still, his mother believed in that man and always awaited his return. Kite's anger mixes with old wounds as he unloads everything against Lythe. Kite explodes with rage during the confrontation, shouting that what annoys him most is being just a substitute for Lythe. The resentment accumulated from the past, and his father's treatment overflows in the heat of battle. At 18, Lythe was classified as jobless, totally disappointing his father. Kite, on the other hand, received the Paladin class, the same as his father, and was finally recognized by him. Feeling it was fair, Kite believed Lythe deserved that, and took pride in finally gaining the recognition he always sought. During the fight, Lythe finally reveals the truth. He received no class. Despite his efforts, he was rejected by the class system, which left him marked and full of resentment. During the confrontation, Lythe admits his envy, but firmly states that classes do not define everything. Even without an assigned class, he continues fighting on equal terms, proving that determination and willpower can overcome system-imposed limitations. Lith advances with his celestial blade technique, cutting the air precisely. Even warning that the result wouldn't change, Kite smiles confidently, aware of the disadvantage but determined to keep fighting. Kite changes the attack's direction and aims at the referee, catching everyone by surprise. As the spectators react in shock, he provocatively smiles at Lith, forcing him to make a critical decision mid-fight. Kite recalls Lith's character, highlighting how he always helps others and forgives easily. With that, he bets Lith won't be able to ignore the imminent danger to the referee, believing his attack impossible to avoid. Lith surprises Kite by using a swift skill, disappearing from his field of vision. Kite, confused, tries to understand what happened while energy explosions appear around, leaving everyone shocked by Lith's unexpected technique. Lith manages to envelop his sword with celestial blade energy and precisely cuts Kite's attack. Surprised, Kite understands what happened and realizes the danger. An observer orders Kite to use his celestial boost if he doesn't want to die. Kite activates his power and charges at Lith with full force, yelling furiously. Lith, steady, prepares a sword strike, destroying the ground around with the attack's force. Lith throws Kite out of the arena with an explosive strike. The referee announces Kite has been knocked out again and starts the countdown. 10, 9. As the countdown continues, observers analyze Lith's technique. They conclude he channeled magical power directly into the sword instead of dispersing it, as is common with the celestial blade. This allowed him to pierce Kite's sacred defense. Even without being a mage class, Lith managed to manipulate magic precisely by copying magical attacks, impressing the watchers. With the countdown nearing its end, all watch in silence. One instructor comments on Lith's potential, who, even without a class, can copy and adapt abilities. Not being tied to a specific type, he can grow indefinitely, becoming stronger and stronger. Lith watches silently as the countdown ends. Kite, still outside the arena, doesn't return in time. Defeat is confirmed. Kite is thrown out of the arena and doesn't come back. The countdown ends and Lith is declared the winner. Spectators are surprised, speculating if Kite fled. After the victory, Lith is approached by a mysterious man who introduces himself as Julius Argyle. He congratulates him and says he enjoyed watching the fight, leaving Lith surprised. Julius confronts Lith, saying that although he is classless, he used a Holy Knight skill, implying he hides powers. The public comments shocked about Lith's feat, and Julius invites him for a private conversation. Kite, injured and panting, refuses to accept his defeat. Even as a high-level Holy Knight, he refuses to believe he lost to someone without a class. Frustrated, he recognizes his weakness and decides he needs more power. Still furious at the defeat, Kite ignores the fight's official end and promises revenge. With a dark gaze and emanating power, he declares that next time he won't hold back against Lith. As they walk together, Lith asks Julius what he wanted to discuss. Before Julius answers, a sudden explosion of energy appears ahead, surprising Lith. Lith reacts quickly by throwing a fireball. Julius watches with a smile and confirms his suspicions. Lith is hiding abilities beyond what he should have. Julius questions how Lith, even being classless, can use multiple skills from different classes. Intrigued, he reveals his true motive. He wants to fight someone strong. Julius smiles excitedly and says he looks forward to fighting Lith. Then he vanishes in a burst of flames, leaving Lith surprised and intrigued. Claire, from the Central Order of White Mages, initiates the confrontation with a powerful Windblade attack. Despite the attack's strength, Fang remains still, showing no reaction. Claire's devastating attack is completely ignored by Fang, who stands motionless and unharmed. The crowd reacts shocked to see her magic had no effect. Fang appears behind Claire without her noticing and reprimands her for not paying attention when attacking. Then he counters with a powerful air explosion, completely surprising her. A mysterious man reveals that his cloak hides a secret. Claire suspects it absorbs his attacks, while others in the crowd comment on how stylish he looks. The man reveals his ability isn't simply damage absorption. While Claire tries to understand, he states the correct answer is something else, preparing to reveal his true power. The man activates his skill called Dark Shadow, enveloping Claire in a dark space with floating eyes. Surprised, she barely reacts to what is happening. After activating his skill, the man remains alone in the arena's center. The crowd watches in shock and apprehension, not fully understanding what just happened. Claire is declared out of the arena, and the judge starts the countdown. The confused audience comments on the dark skill used. At the countdown's end, Fang is officially declared the winner for the Eastern Order of Black Mages. Claire reappears unconscious and falls to the ground, surprising everyone. The referee checks her condition and confirms she is only unconscious. Meanwhile, Fang watches calmly. Fang removes a ring and declares that in a real fight, he wouldn't spare lives. He despises using items like blessing rings, making clear his intention to fight lethally. The crowd reacts scared by his cold attitude. The tournament's final battle is announced. The first competitor is Go, a martial artist from the Western Order. The crowd supports him enthusiastically, while his opponent from the Eastern Order is still unrevealed. Gu's opponent is announced as Julius Argyle, a sage. However, he has not appeared yet, causing surprise. The presenter tries to confirm his presence while Gu mocks, suggesting Julius is scared. Julius finally appears, floating in the arena's center amid magical fragments, causing immediate impact. With a serious expression, Gu watches the opponent's arrival, while Julius calmly says, "Sorry to keep you waiting." Julius walks confidently into the arena as everyone is shocked by his destructive entrance. A knight gets angry, shouting and questioning if he realizes how much magic is needed to create a barrier of that level. The fight between Julius and Gao begins. A knight from the Western Order believes Gao, their best fighter, will secure the first victory. However, in moments, Julius wins easily, ending the fight overwhelmingly. After the fight, Julius is asked where he had been. With a carefree smile, playing with a magic cube, he answers that he was just having fun. Julius watches from afar while Lith is alone among the rocks, apparently exhausted. With an enigmatic look, Julius thinks to himself he has found a rare toy, suggesting he is interested in testing Lith further. Julius watches Lith with an intrigued smile, saying an interesting confrontation is coming. He mentions Lith's full name, showing his interest is now direct and personal. The presenter ends the tournament enthusiastically, highlighting the battle as truly inspiring for all spectators. The crowd cheers as the narrator announces that the semi-finalists of the Lawrence Empire Duel Tournament are officially set. The tournament scoreboard is revealed, showing the quarterfinal winners. The 4 confirmed semi-finalists are Lith, Julius, Fang, and a participant not yet named. The crowd reacts enthusiastically to these competitors' advancement. It is announced that the next battle will happen in a week. The anticipation grows when it is revealed that even the king himself will be present to watch. All semi-finalists react seriously to the importance of the upcoming confrontation. Unexpectedly, an ancient dragon appears in the arena's center, causing panic among those present. The narrator confirms with shock, a legendary creature has just appeared at the tournament site. As the crowd panics at the dragon's appearance, a young warrior tries to calm the situation. Recognizing the creature, she shouts, "Father!" and complains that his entrance was exaggerated, revealing the dragon is actually her father. The dragon transforms into a man before everyone and, laughing, apologizes for the flashy entrance. With a calm smile, he admits he may have overdone the presentation. Mounted on a dragon, King Richard III of the Lawrence Empire makes a grand entrance at the tournament. The crowd reacts impressed as the narrator officially announces his presence on site. The spectators recognize the creature. It is an ancient flame dragon, a rare species from the Shadow Continent. Feared for its ferocity and power, its existence is shrouded in mystery and rarely seen. As he watches the king, a man reflects that taming such a wild dragon requires extraordinary power. He concludes that the creature recognized His Majesty's strength and fears that someone else is also seeking that same power. King Richard asks the presenter for the microphone, who becomes nervous and flattered by the gesture. He thanks everyone with a gentle smile, and before all present, announces that he has an important question to ask the audience. Before the crowd, King Richard questions the true meaning of strength. He states that all tournament participants are skilled warriors, but emphasizes that this is not only due to their classes. For him, strength does not come from status, but from something beyond. The king continues his speech, using the scholar class as an example. He states that even with initial talent, one needs constant study and practice to master advanced magic. Similarly, in duels, strength comes from effort, training, and learning, not from a birth advantage. While the king continues his speech about true strength, Lith is isolated, visibly exhausted and worn out. Still, he listens carefully. The king says frustration also has value because it is through it that many find motivation to grow. The king continues before the crowd, saying frustration can be painful, but is essential to recognize one's immaturity. He says understanding one's flaws is the first step to growth and encourages everyone not to fear failure, for it is through failure that true strength is built. The king closes his speech firmly and inspiringly, declaring before all, "Challenge yourselves." Beside his dragon, he exudes authority and confidence, making it clear that true strength comes from overcoming one's own limits. He concludes that constant challenges and failures turn into strength and make us aim higher. His words inspire all present, who watch attentively, reflecting on their own journeys. The king finishes by saying, "Everyone has strength inside them. They just have to decide whether to use it. His words move and uplift the crowd, which starts cheering with enthusiasm and respect. After the king's speech, the audience reacts with admiration, feeling motivated. Everyone comments on how inspiring his words were. The king's daughter acknowledges that, despite everything, he truly acts as a real sovereign. Shortly after, the king talks to the dragon, asking if it wants to return already. The king announces that the winning knight order of the tournament will have the right to visit the dragon village, where the ancient dragon resides. After that, he bids farewell, flying away on the dragon, saying he looks forward to the semi-finals next week. The king departs mounted on the dragon, surprising everyone with the announcement about the dragon village. The participants show curiosity and excitement, while one of them seriously thinks about the place. The arena remains charged with anticipation for the upcoming battles. A man silently watches, suspecting the king is scheming something. Next to him, a girl wonders why her father is there. Meanwhile, preparations for the semifinals continue, and all participants keep training relentlessly. Each participant trains intensely with swords and magic. Each one seeks to improve on their own, with different goals and ambitions. Meanwhile, the sound of training echoes through the hallways. During training, one of the boys notices the arrival of someone expected. The atmosphere changes as Lith appears, staring seriously and drawing everyone's attention. While the city remains calm, two men walk the corridors of a building. James Argyle, an officer of the Eastern Knights Order, looks serious and focused, while the other shows disinterest, playing with a cube. Despite complaining, he is forced to enter the room next to James, who seems used to his attitude. All officers gather around the table. The mood is tense from the start, with provocations between James and another man named Ride. While one maintains composure, sipping tea, the other makes clear his displeasure. The meeting's host, ignoring the friction, tries to start the discussion with all present. During the meeting, James reveals that the Eastern Knights Order's plan is finally reaching a decisive point. With a determined and dark look, he declares the next step will be to eliminate King Richard III. James continues explaining the plan, saying everything is going as expected, with each piece advancing at the right time. Even with the unexpected escape of a holy knight, the group is ready to act at any moment. The tension grows as the decisive moment approaches. During the discussion, the group admits the greatest obstacle to the plan is the king himself. His combat power is extremely high, and he still has the support of a powerful flame dragon. While that creature is by his side, not even a scratch can harm him. James reveals the king made a pact with the flame dragon after fighting alongside him. Now the creature has become his sworn ally, offering magical protection that prevents any attack from injuring him. Because of this, the king is considered invincible as long as the pact lasts. The group acknowledges that the king and the dragon are practically unbeatable together, to the point that even an entire army wouldn't stand a chance. One of the men asks if there is any solution, but is soon interrupted. An ally assures there is still hope, revealing Camilla has devised a promising strategy to handle the situation. Camilla enters the room, greeted respectfully by those present. She invites everyone to sit and shows confidence. Some recognize she is Princess Iris's sister, but Camilla soon makes it clear she doesn't care about formalities. She will be the mastermind behind the new strategy against the king and the dragon. While some still saw Camilla merely as Princess Iris's assistant, she maintains a confident air, unbothered by the comments. When questioned about the strategy, she calmly confirms the plan is hers, making clear she is in control of the situation. While Camilla sips her tea with a confident look, the other meeting members begin considering the strategy. Some think it might work, but doubts about its viability remain. Even so, the idea sparks interest and caution among those involved. While Camilla speaks, Duke Ride approaches with a serious expression. She lightly questions him, but without warning, he aggressively advances and draws his sword, surprising everyone in the hall. Ride suddenly attacks, knocking down a knight and causing confusion. One of the guards reacts furiously, questioning his attitude. Camilla, surprised, watches as Ride coldly comments on her dress, as if wanting to prove something. For him, the action would end any remaining doubts. After the incident, a meeting member asks if there are more flaws in Camilla's plan. The answer is direct. There are none. Camilla smiles confidently while watching the fallen knight, as if everything is going exactly as she wanted. Camilla, still with a cold smile, makes clear that her true targets are her own father and sister. She states that the next encounter with them at the dueling event will be the last. This reveals her strategy hides personal and dangerous intentions, awaiting the decisive moment with anticipation. An excited girl begins the ceremony with a lively speech. She says that, according to legends, the territory was once ruled by demons until a god defeated them in battle. From that place, called the Land of Beginnings, the world's history began. Now, that very place will be the stage for the grand dueling event. The long-awaited tournament day begins with the arena full and excitement in the air. Participants talk enthusiastically about the fights and the learning they will gain from the experience. Despite previous defeats, the Western Knights Order is praised for their dedication. Amid the bustle, Commander Rigel Radner watches proudly while spectators are reminded to maintain order. While the Western Order stirred the crowd, Central Order Commander Lena Frist observed calmly, guiding her subordinates to pay attention to the fight. With Kite's absence confirmed, the focus shifted to presenting the three most promising fighters of the tournament. The two princesses make their official entrance into the tournament. The first introduced is Iris Lawrence, followed by her younger sister Camilla Lawrence. Both appear confident before the crowd, marking the start of something grand. While the crowd cheered, Iris approached Camilla, showing concern over her disappearance. Camilla responded sarcastically, saying it was an honor to be remembered by the future queen. Iris mentioned their father, suggesting he would be happy to see her at court again. But Camilla, already with ulterior motives, hinted there would be no more opportunities like this. King Richard III makes his entrance to the event, coming directly from the Kingdom of Lawrence. With confident posture and striking presence, he walks the venue while Camilla watches with a calculating look, already anticipating the next steps of her plan. The crowd cheers for the king, who walks proudly under admiring gazes. Soon after, the tournament organizer enthusiastically announces the start of the next phase, calling the semi-final participants to enter the arena. The first semi-final is announced. On one side, the Holy Knight Sarah Scott. On the other, the sage Julius Argyle. Both face each other seriously, ready for the confrontation that will decide who advances in the tournament. The second semi-final is also revealed. The Dark Mage Fang will face Lythe Wellesley, known for having no class. Despite that, Lythe faces his opponent firmly, determined to prove his worth, even without a title. Lythe appears visibly tired and full of wounds, raising doubts about his preparation for the semifinal. Meanwhile, a mysterious figure approaches and bluntly states that he will not reach the final, throwing the provocation directly in his path. Sarah faces Julius confidently and states without hesitation that she will defeat him. The provocation catches the opponent by surprise, while she keeps a steady gaze, making it clear she is ready to win. Suddenly, a strong wind begins to blow in the arena, surprising everyone. The air current spins around Julius, gaining intensity to the point of reaching even the spectators' seats. The scene creates a tense atmosphere, making it clear something big is about to happen. Julius faces the fight with a provocative smile, showing confidence and disdain. Meanwhile, the judge starts the combat, and Sarah launches herself into the attack, determined to show her strength from the first second. Sarah charges at Julius at high speed, who remains still with a confident smile. As she approaches with full force, he begins channeling magic in his hands, ready to counterattack precisely. The battle begins with tension and power in the air. Julius delivers a magical strike directly at Sarah, who is thrown backward with force. He watches the scene calmly and confidently, while his hand still glows with energy, showing the fight is far from over. Sarah reacts quickly and hits Julius with a direct strike, but soon realizes it was just an afterimage. Julius appears right behind, laughing and impressed with the fight's level. Sarah, on the other hand, stays focused, realizing she is dealing with a more complicated opponent than expected. Julius launches a powerful magical attack directly at Sarah, causing an intense explosion in the arena. The spectators watch shocked, while the impact raises smoke and energy all around. Julius watches calmly, confident the strike was decisive. Surprisingly, Sarah reappears unharmed and cuts through the fire magic with her holy sword. Julius watches with interest, finding the situation more entertaining than expected. In response, he prepares to launch a new magic, summoning sharp stone spears as the next attack. Julius surprises by launching a new attack, this time using earth magic. The spectators begin to suspect he is a multi-element user, something rare and powerful. Sarah tries to react quickly, while the crowd and even the king watch each move of the duel closely. Sarah once again cuts the attack with her divine sword, destroying the stone spears launched by Julius. He watches attentively, already preparing a new spell. The fight remains intense, with both showing exceptional skills and giving no room for error. Sarah tries once more to use her divine sword, but realizes her attacks have no effect. Frustrated, she understands that despite all her strength, Julius remains unharmed. The tension rises as he just watches, calmly facing the assault. In a memory, Julius appears in a forge, handing several magical stones to a craftsman. Among them were minerals with fire, earth, water, wind, thunder, and darkness attributes. He asked that something special be created with all the elements, revealing the origin behind his mastery of multiple magical attributes. Julius explains he didn't want something ordinary, but an artifact that would be fun to use. He gives the blacksmith a detailed project of what he wants. Meanwhile, the dwarf comments that despite Julius's intelligence and magical power, he doesn't care about wins or losses. What he seeks is fun, and for that he sees Sarah as the perfect partner for the duel. During the fight, Julius spins a magic cube that seems to activate different spells. Sarah, even facing varied elemental attacks, continues advancing. She dodges the blows with agility, showing resilience and focus, while Julius calmly switches to the next element. Julius takes control of the fight, using varied attacks with ease and leaving Sarah at a disadvantage. Spectators comment that there is no way she can defeat someone who masters multiple magical elements at once. Even veterans recognize the new competitor's talent. While Lythe watches everything silently, Julius takes advantage of an opening and approaches Sarah, preparing a direct attack. She tries to react but realizes the danger too late. The crowd panics seeing the scene, realizing the situation has become critical for her. Julius easily traps Sarah and mocks the situation, questioning where all her determination went. With a provocative smile, he says it would be boring if the fight ended so simply. Sarah silently tries to keep her composure in the face of humiliation. When it seemed Sarah was defeated, she surprises Julius with a turnaround, saying he just lost the chance to win. With determination in her eyes, she makes clear she hasn't given up yet. The king, watching everything, gets excited by the fight, admiring the knight's determination. Sarah closes her eyes and concentrates her energy, holding the sword in a serene and firm posture. A different power starts emanating from her body, indicating she is about to release a special technique or awaken a new level of strength. Sarah reveals a new skill. Several swords begin to float around her, controlled by her magic. The audience watches surprised, not understanding how she activated this power. The atmosphere changes completely and the duel takes an unexpected turn. Sarah positions herself firmly while the swords float around her. They are not illusions. Each is a real divine sword. Julius watches with a slight smile, recognizing that he is now facing something serious. Sarah activates her technique with the divine swords surrounding her opponent. She prepares the strike precisely, while Julius watches attentively, realizing he underestimated her strength until now. The spectators are surprised to see Sarah's technique evolve, transforming a single divine blade into 6. Julius smiles excitedly, recognizing her progress and celebrating the intense fight, fully thrilled by the battle. Sarah charges forward with one of the divine swords, determined to attack head-on. Julius watches curiously, trying to understand her intent. Before the strike lands, he quickly raises an earth wall to defend himself. With debris still in the air, Sarah advances, breaking the wall with her floating swords. In a synchronized movement, all blades attack simultaneously, creating a cutting whirlwind that surprises Julius. Julius notices Sarah approaching, protected by swords, spinning at high speed. With an excited smile, he reacts by creating a huge flaming tornado blast to counterattack. Sarah moves precisely as she spins her swords around her body, surprising everyone by transforming the Holy Sword's offensive technique into both an attack and defense. She states she would not win by brute force alone, so she created this strategy. With conviction, she launches a final strike. Sarah activates her final technique, surrounded by cutting petals in the air. The ability takes shape with a swift, precise dance, advancing toward the enemy without hesitation. Julius, attentive, prepares for the impact, but the scene already shows she has taken control of the duel. At the moment Sarah finishes her technique, a strong light fills the arena. When everything calms, Julius has completely disappeared from the battlefield. The spectators look around confused, and even the event officials cannot locate him. Julius appears unharmed after the attack, surprising everyone with his speed. Sarah notices her swords have been reduced, leaving only one active. Julius, excited by the battle, taunts and says he still has many techniques to show, spinning his magic artifact again while preparing to continue. Julius becomes even more excited about the fight. With a confident smile, he activates another spell using his magic artifact, saying now the second round will begin. During the tournament, a swordswoman is surprised by the opponent's approach. The audience watches closely, trying to understand Julius's strategy. He raises his hand with a strange gesture, leaving everyone confused. Meanwhile, one spectator suspects he is just provoking. Julius summons a huge stone golem, causing the ground to shake with its appearance. The swordswoman steps back, surprised by the size and power of the creature, but prepares to face it firmly. The gigantic golem astonishes everyone as it appears in the arena, about 20 meters tall. The crowd is shocked by its size and the magical power it radiates. Some recognize this as the true strength of a sage, while others watch, impressed by the creature's presence. The swordswoman watches carefully as the golem begins to move slowly across the arena. One spectator comments that, although slow, these golems are extremely strong and destructive, commonly used by the army in battles. The swordswoman attacks the golem with precision, cutting its stones as she faces it confidently. Despite its imposing presence, she claims these creatures are nothing more than stone puppets, unable to match the offensive power of the holy knights. Sarah advances with a quick sequence of strikes and destroys the golem without difficulty. The spectators praise her skill, recognizing her superiority as a holy knight. Now she takes the advantage in the fight, making the battle increasingly unpredictable. After destroying the golem, Sarah confronts Julius. She questions why he is fighting indirectly and accuses him of still holding back, suggesting his true power has yet to be revealed. Julius remains silent, calmly observing. Julius smiles and begins to provoke, calling Sarah a doll and asking if she knows the legend of the Fire Titan. Without waiting for an answer, he decides to tell the story himself, while Sarah watches confused, noticing he avoided answering her question. Julius tells the story of the Fire Titan, a devastating creature named Sutep who, in ancient times, destroyed human cities and spread suffering everywhere it went. It covered everything in flames and almost brought the world to ruin. This entity became a symbol of the end, the personification of the apocalypse. Julius reveals he has always admired the Fire Titan, despite it being a creature of destruction. Sarah, confused, asks what that has to do with the fight. He replies with a smile, saying that this admiration inspired him to use magic to create things that do not exist, because he finds it fun to give form to the impossible. Julius explains he started by creating a golem with earth magic, but realized he needed fire magic to approach the power of the Fire Titan. Combining the two elements, he developed a unique creation, which he considers his masterpiece. Confident, he declares Sarah is the ideal opponent to face it. Julius finishes his summoning with a confident smile, revealing his ultimate creation, the Flame Titan. The flaming creature appears with destructive force, cracking the ground around it and making clear that the true battle is about to begin. The Flame Titan takes its final form, Muspel. Wrapped in intense flames and with a monstrous appearance, it emerges as an overwhelming threat, ready to destroy everything around it. Muspel attacks with crushing force, cracking the ground and forcing Sarah to retreat. She can barely contain her surprise at the Titan's power, exclaiming that it is incredibly strong. The spectators watch shocked, realizing the gravity of the situation. Sarah tries to approach, but Muspel unleashes a massive attack in the form of a flaming vortex. Surprised by the speed and intensity, she quickly steps back. The impact of the attack spreads across the arena, forcing even the spectators to take cover. Muspel releases a wave of fire that spreads throughout the arena, frightening even the audience. Those present worry about everyone's safety. The commentator announces, impressed, that Julius has summoned the legendary Fire Titan, something never seen before in combat. The spectators comment in shock about Julius, noting that even among sages, it is rare for someone to use two magical attributes simultaneously. They recognize that it's not just his magic that impresses, but also his creativity. Julius, confident, takes pride in his creation, while another observer admits Julius is incredibly powerful. Sarah counterattacks with determination, summoning her divine blade. With a precise and powerful strike, she pierces the Flame Titan's body, beginning to destroy it. Even facing such a threat, she shows she has not given up the fight. Sarah advances with speed and precision, stabbing the Flame Titan's chest with a direct blow. Her expression mixes relief and determination as the creature starts to crumble under the impact of the assault. Sarah lands a devastating blow on the Flame Titan, believing she has dealt a fatal wound. However, something unexpected happens. The creature begins to behave strangely. The spectators notice the Titan is regenerating, leaving everyone shocked at its ability to heal itself. Julius reveals that Muspel can change its form like magma, making any physical attack useless. While Sarah tries to figure out how to face it, the Titan launches a new attack, throwing a rain of stone spears toward her. Sarah is hit by the stone spears and thrown back, wounded and surprised by the attack. Meanwhile, the Flame Titan continues advancing furiously, and the spectators watch in panic. She rises with difficulty, feeling the weight of the battle. The Flame Titan leaps forcefully to crush Sarah, who barely manages to react. The shocked spectators shout her name as they see her in danger. At the last moment, she tries to move, but the impending impact comes fast. Sarah is hit squarely by the Flame Titan and screams in pain as she is crushed. The crowd watches in absolute shock while the flaming creature remains imposing in the center of the arena, dominant and tireless. Even wounded, Sarah refuses to give up, determined to win and join the royal guard. One spectator shouts for her to surrender, fearing for her life. Julius, on the other hand, appears bored with the situation and, with a cruel smile, declares the end of the fight with a provocative "bye-bye." Just as Julius believes he has won, a new figure appears and points a sword directly at him. With a firm look, she declares the game is over, provocatively calling him Julius-chan. The tide of the battle is about to turn. After receiving an advanced class by divine revelation, the young woman decided to join the Central Order of Knights, where many women also serve. With determination, she prepared and managed to be accepted as one of the new recruits. During training, the young knight easily defeats several opponents, impressing everyone with her strength. Even as a novice, her talent stands out. Observers comment on her skill and determination, recognizing her as a warrior who always strives for the top. The knight is brutally crushed by the debris left from the Flame Titan's attack. Screaming in pain, she is swallowed by the destruction, while the spectators watch anxiously. One of them comments with concern, "The enemy is too strong and the situation is becoming critical." With Sarah captured by Julius, a knight from the Central Order appears and, with a firm look, orders her immediate release. He warns that if Julius does not obey, he will face the full force of the Central Knights. The tension between the two rises, with the confrontation about to escalate. With a mocking smile, Julius says he understood the message and pretends to surrender, claiming he will release Sarah. Despite the apparent surrender, some observers notice something strange in his attitude and sense the situation may still worsen. Julius reveals his true intention, laughing arrogantly and refusing to stop. He summons more power and provokes everyone around to face him. One of the knights runs desperately, realizing he will not save Sarah in time, while the chaos increases on the battlefield. Amid the chaos, a young man jumps in with a dagger in hand, determined to act. The spectators recognize something familiar, and one of the warriors murmurs in surprise, "Father?" The tension rises with the sudden entrance of this new character into the fight. The young woman reveals the man who entered is Lythe Wellesley, her personal guard. While everyone watches, he launches a direct attack on the Flame Titan, advancing with courage and speed through the flames. The audience watches in suspense at his decisive move. While a spectator smiles and praises the situation, Sarah is brutally thrown to the ground by the Flame Titan. Her body rolls among the rubble, wounded and exhausted, barely able to react, with a lost gaze and heavy breathing. The protagonist arrives just in time and holds Sarah in his arms, removing her from the debris. Wounded and exhausted, she looks at him with a mix of relief and gratitude, while he remains firm, determined to protect her. Lythe Wellesley advances with precision, aiming directly at the core of the Flame Titan. With a single precise strike, he completely destroys the creature. The crowd reacts in surprise, while Julius watches incredulously at the fall of his creation. Lythe carries Sarah in his arms, relieved to see her safe. She, embarrassed and hurt, asks to be put down, believing she is heavy. While he insists she is injured, Sarah lowers her head and apologizes for losing. Lythe just looks at her calmly, without judgment. Sarah is rushed for treatment as healers apply ice magic and first aid. The situation is critical, and her injuries are worse than they appeared. Lythe watches silently until she calls him with a weak voice. "Hey, Lythe." While Sarah is taken for treatment, she finds the strength to ask Lythe to win. He leaves determined with a firm look. Alone on the stretcher, a tear falls from her face, revealing her frustration and silent pain. Crying, Sarah confesses that she couldn't win. She reveals her true wish, to join the Royal Knights alongside Lythe. Meanwhile, the nobles praise the boy for his courage and skill. Hearing the comments, Lythe feels uncomfortable. Trying to explain his effort was for another reason. The nobles notice that Iris is visibly shaken, something rare coming from her. Her father watches with surprise and pride, commenting that it is hard to see this emotional side of his daughter in public. The scene shows how much the situation affected everyone, even the most reserved. While watching Lythe from afar, a woman jokingly says her daughter brought him home as a possible fiancé. She laughs, calling him a rascal, recognizing his worth with a touch of humor. The scene ends with a wide view of the arena, devastated and marked by the battle's impact. Julius looks at Lythe with contempt, irritated that his fun was interrupted. Lythe, furious, demands to know why he attacked Sarah that way. The tension between them rises, with the direct confrontation about to begin. When Lythe moves to attack Julius, one of the event officials shouts desperately, ordering him to stop immediately. The crowd watches tensely as Lythe's bold move threatens to cross the allowed limits. One of the organizers quickly intervenes, announcing that Julius is out of the next fight, and that if he and Lythe fight now, both will be disqualified. The tension remains, but the authority tries to calm the public and prevent the situation from getting out of control. A high-ranking knight approaches and orders Julius to step back, saying it is now his turn. With authority, he promises Julius can play later, making clear he is taking control of the situation. Julius, silent, withdraws before the order. While walking through the corridors, a man tells Lyth that, regardless of the outcome of the next fight, they will still face each other. Winning or losing, the duel between them is guaranteed. Lyth looks at him seriously, accepting the challenge without hesitation. The audience reacts with anger and indignation, blaming Fang for hurting Sarah. Meanwhile, the narrator highlights the intensity of the semifinals. The next fight is announced: Fang, the Dark Mage, versus Lyth, the classless participant. The arena, still marked by previous destruction, awaits a new confrontation. Before the fight begins, Fang approaches Lyth and gives him a direct warning: resist with all your strength. Without giving room for more words, the referee announces the start of the combat. The tension between them rises quickly, marking the beginning of a decisive clash. Soon after the fight starts, Lyth is surprised by a dark creature. A demonic wolf, created with black magic by Fang, attacks fiercely. The crowd reacts scared, and Fang challenges Lyth to face the creature and discover its attack patterns. While Lyth faces the demonic wolf, Fang warns him not to focus only on the visible enemy. Right after, a new threat appears from above, catching Lyth off guard and revealing that dangers on the field go far beyond what is seen. Lyth counterattacks confidently and uses the magic stone hand. A huge stone hand rises from the ground and grabs the demonic wolf, crushing it with force. The unexpected offense surprises the creature and turns the fight in Lyth's favor. Lyth takes advantage of the opening and leaps onto the demonic wolf, striking with full force. The impact is violent and surprises even the spectators. The wolf tries to resist, but the attack hits it hard. After Lyth's strike, Fang watches closely and confronts him. He points out that Lyth used the magic stone hand, confirming it is an earth element technique. The revelation draws attention because until then, Lyth was considered classless. During the fight, Fang shifts focus and reveals shocking information. A royal guard named Zack mysteriously disappeared during a mission. He mentions that 3 people participated in that mission: Zack, a magic swordsman named Larg, and Lyth, the classless. The revelation surprises everyone around. Fang reveals that he investigated the place where Zack disappeared and found traces of combat with fire magic and stone fragments. From this, he concludes that Zack fought someone before vanishing. Now, seeing Lyth use the same skills, Fang directly accuses him of using Zack's techniques. Fang presents records of Lyth's previous fights, highlighting that he used specific abilities, like the divine sword and stone magic, against opponents with powers similar to Zack's. He reveals Lyth was present where Zack disappeared and claims that despite being classless, Lyth uses the same techniques. Fang then concludes his hypothesis: Lyth may be involved in the royal guard's disappearance. Fang confronts Lyth with a direct accusation. He questions if Lyth has the ability to steal or copy other people's techniques. Lyth remains silent, visibly shaken, neither denying nor confirming, while tension in the arena rises. The revelation about Lyth shocks everyone. The commentator aloud wonders if he really has the ability to acquire others' skills. Nobles and spectators react in astonishment, and even Julius watches silently, suspicious. No one had ever seen someone like that. Rumors about Lyth cause a strong impact among those present. Many refuse to believe that someone classless could have such power. His father, observing quietly, begins to consider that maybe Lyth inherited a special ability. Facing doubts and suspicions, he murmurs to himself, if this is true, faced with the possibility that Lyth possesses unique abilities, an ambitious noble suggests using him as the ducal family's heir. The proposal shocks those present, while Lyth watches from afar, still unaware of where his fate may lead. As Lyth prepares for the confrontation, aware that his opponent knows about his possible ability, Fang pressures him with a direct question: how does he manage to acquire other people's abilities? The tension grows, and Lyth is caught off guard, with no immediate answer. Fang attacks without warning, surprising Lyth with his speed. In moments, he unleashes a sequence of direct strikes, making clear he is taking the fight seriously. Lyth tries to react, but barely keeps up with the opponent's fast moves. Lyth quickly recovers and goes on the counterattack. With precision and speed, he lands a sequence of direct hits on Fang, showing he will not back down easily. The fight balances, with both showing great mastery in close combat. Fang takes control of the fight and pressures Lyth with well-planned attacks. Observers comment that even with the ability to copy powers, defeating Fang will not be easy, as he is also an experienced strategist. Lyth suffers direct blows and starts to feel the weight of the battle. Lyth summons demonic wolves to turn the tide. Fang tries to repel them quickly, but is cornered by the coordinated attacks. Even as a strategist, he finds himself pressured by Lyth's new offensive. Fang manages to reverse the situation, immobilizing Lyth and crushing him to the ground with force. Even injured, Lyth tries to resist, but is clearly at a physical and technical disadvantage at this point in the fight. Even on the ground, Lyth reacts quickly and conjures a powerful fire lance, piercing Fang's armor with a direct strike. The counterattack surprises the opponent and shows Lyth still has strength to keep fighting. Lyth takes advantage of the opening after the fire lance and lands a direct punch on Fang's face, breaking his mask with the impact. The attack visibly shakes the opponent. Lyth surprised the audience by using fire attribute magic to launch a powerful fire lance. On impact, he breaks Fang's mask. Shortly after, a new message reveals Lyth acquired the ability Demon Wolves. Lyth faces Fang after his successful attack. Fang, surprised and impressed, admits the counterattack was effective and convinces him of Lyth's strength. Fang acknowledges Lyth's skill in using various magics with different attributes. He says that if Lyth had used the Divine Sword in the previous counterattack, the duel would already be over. Fang questions Lyth's choice to use a simple punch right after casting fire magic, suggesting there were more effective ways to attack. He suspects Lyth is still hiding something. Lyth activates a new mysterious ability involving floating eyes and dark energy. The technique surprises even himself, making it clear this power goes beyond what he knew. The judge declares the fight over after Lyth activates the new ability and orders the countdown to officially end the duel. As the countdown continues, spectators wonder where Lyth is. The judge reveals he is trapped in a void created by his magic, from which it would theoretically be impossible to escape. Trapped in a gravity-free space, surrounded by darkness, Lyth quickly realizes the danger. Determined to escape, he wields his divine sword and tries to use its energy to tear the space around him. Even using the divine sword, Lyth notices his attacks are useless inside the void. The opponent reveals the space absorbs any energy and drains his life force, making escape impossible. As time runs out, Lyth is warned that his resistance is in vain. While discussing Lyth's situation trapped in the void, one of the knights believes there is still a way to escape. Leona confirms Julius is her subordinate and promises to re-educate him for his behavior. Sarah is being treated and is not in life-threatening condition. Everyone shows concern while Leona states there are two ways to get out of that situation. Leona explains the first way to escape the void is using light attribute magic, the opposite of darkness attribute. Since Lyth has not escaped yet, she concludes he does not have this type of ability. The spectators follow the countdown as Leona is about to reveal the second way to escape. Leona reveals the second way to escape the void is using spatial magic. This magic can open gaps in space, allowing escape. Although effective against the imprisonment spell, everyone agrees that spatial magic is extremely rare and unlikely to be mastered by someone like Lyth. With the countdown almost over, everyone believes Lyth is defeated, trapped in the void. They comment that even if he had spatial magic, the time to activate it would exhaust him. Fang mocks him, calling him useless and saying this is the limit of someone without a class. But Iris, determined, refuses to accept this end. At the last moment, a dark wolf appears behind Fang and attacks him with force. Everyone is surprised. Lyth used a dark attribute ability to escape the void and counterattack. Fang is attacked by a demonic wolf summoned by Lyth, surprising everyone by reappearing. Even injured, the enemy tries to resist, but the dark creature's assault puts him at a disadvantage. Fang realizes Lyth is using his own ability against him and panics upon noticing it was copied during the previous confrontation. While Fang tries to understand how it happened, Lyth advances with conviction, ready to finish the fight. With a decisive strike, Lyth defeats Fang, who falls unconscious before everyone. The crowd watches in shock and admiration, unable to believe the jobless managed to defeat such a powerful and strategic opponent. Lyth reappears on the field, surprising everyone. A demonic wolf comes out of the void and attacks Fang, making clear Lyth used the enemy's own ability against him. The audience reacts in shock as the narrator confirms Lyth's triumphant return. Seeing Lyth's comeback, everyone comments admiringly on his skill to copy the enemy's technique and use it against him. Meanwhile, one of the girls praises Lyth, saying he is pretty cool. But Iris quickly makes it clear she will not hand him over to anyone. Camilla insists Iris give up Lyth, claiming she already has too many guards and could at least keep that one. Iris keeps an enigmatic smile and does not yield. Observing the scene, a man ironically comments on the beautiful bond between sisters. Camilla watches confidently, believing that with Lyth in her hands, her plan will work. Meanwhile, Lyth is exhausted after the battle. In the infirmary, Sarah receives emergency treatment. Others watch surprised by Lyth's strength, especially after his victory over Fang. Sarah, even wounded, tries to maintain composure while complaining about the pain of treatment. The healers ask for silence, explaining her condition is serious. Meanwhile, Lyth recovers on the battlefield. He thinks about how he managed to escape Fang's dimension, using the enemy's own ability, even without knowing if it would work. Lyth watches Fang fallen and admits to himself that he was lucky. Meanwhile, the judge officially ends the combat. Fang is incapacitated and can no longer fight. The victory goes to Lyth. The official announcement is made. Lyth is declared the winner of the fight. The audience celebrates while others watch silently, impressed by his victory and performance. Lyth is officially announced as a finalist of the tournament. Exhausted, he listens to the recognition from the audience and judges. Meanwhile, Fang is carried away on a stretcher, and an observer comments with disdain that his performance was forced. Fang, defeated and irritated, tries to justify himself, saying he is not an actor. James taunts him, saying he should try theater. Meanwhile, Lyth celebrates his victory with euphoria. Watching from afar, James coldly states that this will be the only time Lyth can savor a win, suggesting something bigger and more dangerous is brewing behind the scenes. Lyth breathes a sigh of relief after his victory, but remains uneasy. He recalls that his next fight will be against Julius in the final. Yet what bothers him most is Julius's statement, "We will fight, win or lose." This phrase keeps echoing in his mind, raising suspicions about his future opponent's true intentions. Lyth is surprised to see an unexpected figure arrive, Duke Lyde Wellesley, former commander of the Eastern Knights. His sudden presence raises suspicions and intrigues everyone around, making clear that something big is about to happen. Everyone is confused by Duke Lyde's sudden appearance, especially after rumors that he had cut ties with Lyth. As the Duke walks toward the arena, curious and suspicious glances follow him. His unexpected gesture captures the entire audience's attention, raising even more questions about his intentions. Duke Lyde surprises everyone by holding Lyth and publicly declaring before the entire audience that Lyth is his son. The announcement shocks Lyth himself, who is speechless, while the Duke shows a slight proud smile. The revelation causes an uproar among those present and raises even more questions about the Duke's real plans. While everyone still processes the revelation about Lyth, attention turns to Duke Lyde's history. The Knights comment that he was the former leader of the Eastern Knights, an order tasked with protecting the Kingdom of Lawrence against monsters from the Black Zone. His presence there raises suspicions, since he supposedly severed ties with Lyth. The tension grows with doubts about the true reasons behind his public return. During the battle against the disaster-level monster known as Dark Venom, soldiers and mages were paralyzed, unable to respond to the overwhelming threat. However, when all seemed lost, it was Lyde Wellesley who changed the course of the battle. His legendary feat in this fight is the most remarkable event of his career, showing why he remains so respected even after leaving the Eastern Knights. While still a member of the Eastern Knights Order, Lyde Wellesley single-handedly defeated the feared Dark Venom, a deadly monster that terrorized the kingdom's border. But his feat did not stop there. After this victory, he continued fighting and defeating numerous fierce monsters that appeared one after another, solidifying his reputation as a true military hero of the eastern region of the Kingdom of Lawrence. Lyde Wellesley was not only powerful, he was a true symbol of heroism on the battlefield. His presence turned the tide against fierce monsters and saved countless lives. Among his admirers is a man who claims to have been saved by him at a critical moment and now bears a scar on his forehead as proof of Lyde's victory. For him, Lyde is not just a knight, he is a savior, someone he respects above all others. Duke Lyde walks up to Lyth and looks at him directly, with the firm presence of someone respected by all. While those around still murmur about his heroic deeds from the past, he simply places his hand on his son's shoulder in silence. Lyth, surprised and visibly moved, just lowers his eyes for a moment, speechless, but clearly shaken by the gesture. The simple act carries more weight than any speech, a silent recognition between father and son. For the first time in public, Duke Lyde directly praises his son. "You did well, Lyth." Lyth's expression mixes surprise and restrained emotion, unsure how to respond. What seemed impossible finally happens before everyone. Observers murmur about the unexpected gesture, a clear symbol of recognition and perhaps reconciliation between father and son. As the audience is moved by the scene between father and son, a man questions rumors that Lyth had been banished from the duchy. Hearing this, Lyde quickly reacts with a sharp look, but soon laughs loudly and feigns surprise, denying any exile. Lyde compares the challenges imposed on Lyth to the process of forging a blade. Iron must be heated and hammered repeatedly to reach its best form. He states that everything he did was part of training, intended to make Lith stronger. Lyde continues explaining that the same applies to knights. Facing hardships is part of the training. Those who walk this harsh path on their own end up becoming royal guard knights. Lyde proudly declares that his son, the product of his rigorous training, now has enough power to protect Princess Iris. The statement surprises everyone, including the princess herself. Lyde continues his speech, praising the strength Lyth demonstrated in the tournament. He declares him a national pride and a knight worthy of protecting the kingdom of Lawrence. The crowd cheers, and even Princess Iris reacts enthusiastically to the declaration. Before everyone, Lyde declares that the time has come for Lith to return to the Wellesley family. Despite the public gesture, Iris senses he is using his position to manipulate public opinion, and Lith looks surprised and confused by the sudden invitation. Lith looks at his father without understanding his intentions, while the Duke watches him with a confident and calculating gaze. The atmosphere between them is tense, full of doubts and mistrust. Lith, moved, reveals he has always admired his father. The Duke watches silently, with a subtle smile. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a knight holds someone firmly, indicating something darker is happening behind the public scene. While Lyth's father trains his soldiers seriously and powerfully, imposing respect on the training ground, he maintains his firm and authoritative image before the troops. During training, Duke Lyde attacks the soldiers with full force, showing his brute strength and sword skills. In just a few moves, he dominates the combat, making clear why he is respected as a warrior and leader. Even surrounded, Duke Lyde defeats everyone with ease. With a single blow, he knocks down his opponents, leaving a strong impression of respect and admiration on those watching. While watching his father training the soldiers, young Lyth hid among the trees, memorizing every movement. Even without direct guidance, he trained alone, imitating his father's sword strikes with dedication, determined to reach the same level. Since childhood, Lyth trained hard, determined to become a holy knight as strong as his father. Fueled by this admiration, he dedicated his life to following the same path, believing he would one day reach that level. Lyth is moved as he finally has his skills recognized. Since childhood, he followed in his father Duke Lyde's footsteps, always training hard to catch up. Now, seeing his efforts valued, he feels truly happy. Duke Lyde extends his hand to Lyth, calling him with a firm and confident gesture. Lyth, surprised and emotional, looks at his father silently, absorbing the weight of the moment after finally achieving the recognition he always sought. Lyth, emotional before the audience and his father, hesitates as he tries to speak. The crowd watches silently, while Duke Lyde maintains a steady gaze. In the middle of the moment, Lyth begins to say, "Father, but something in his eyes suggests there are still doubts inside him, even amid recognition. Lyth looks at his father firmly and, surprising everyone, refuses the proposal. With a determined voice, he declares he will not return to the Wellesley house. The crowd reacts in shock, while Duke Lyde watches him with a tense expression. Lyth looks at his father and, without hesitation, refuses again. Firmly, he says he will not go back. The direct answer catches Duke Lyde by surprise, and the environment falls silent in the tension between them. The audience watches silently as the tension between Lyth and Duke Lyde grows. The commentator highlights the heavy atmosphere. With a serious expression, Lyde looks down and murmurs something enigmatic. "This country," leaving everyone unclear about his intentions. Lyth watches the busy and prosperous city but feels something wrong. At the same time, a noble steals food from a common merchant and assaults a woman when confronted, shouting that he belongs to the upper class. The scene causes shock and reinforces Lyth's discomfort with social injustice. While the noble justifies his actions by saying the weak must pay for being protected, Lyth protects an injured girl. The man defends his act as part of the law of nature, where the strong deserve rewards from the weak. Tension rises with this twisted speech of authority and power. Lyth questions the normality of the current system, where injustice is treated as common sense. People around react confused, some accepting the situation as natural. Nobles watch from afar with unconcerned expressions, reinforcing the inequality Lyth tries to challenge. A noble tries to justify inequality by saying the Kingdom of Lawrence was an inhospitable land 2,000 years ago, full of monsters, and the upper class risked their lives to develop it. He claims that because of this, nobles have the right to dominate, as if it were a natural reward for their past efforts. While the noble proudly defends inequality, stating it is natural that the upper classes receive privileges and the commons are nothing but slaves, Lyth listens silently, clearly shaken by these cruel words and the distorted reality imposed by the powerful. The crowd rebels against Duke Lyde's words, rejecting being called slaves. common citizens rise and shout, claiming they are the ones who sustain the kingdom, producing food, sewing clothes for royalty, and building the city's structures. United, they declare the country is driven by their work, not by the nobles. Lith revolts at his father's words and shouts that he is completely wrong. He states there should be no superiority between classes, since a person's worth should not be defined by that. Lith's firm stance marks his definitive break from the Duke's ideals. Lith, out of breath, declares that all classes are given equally by God through the oracle. Before everyone, he states that even his classless condition must have a purpose. His words surprise those present, including his father and the princess. Lith recalls being kicked out of his home and needing to find work to survive. However, having the jobless class, he was discriminated against in all guilds and got no job offers. Even after trying many places, he was always rejected. Lith says he began fearing cold looks from people, feeling everyone saw someone with the jobless class as worthless. He almost gave up everything in that moment of loneliness and rejection. During a heavy rain, Lith hides soaking wet and discouraged, about to leave because he felt like a burden. At that moment, a woman recognized him as the unemployed man who had been to the guild before. She approaches with concern and asks why he is there in that state. The attendant offers Lith a hot drink to warm up and encourages him not to be discouraged. Even though he thought no one would notice him for being jobless, she reveals an urgent mission just arrived and invites him to accept it, showing confidence in his ability. After hearing Lith's confession, Duke Lyde laughs with disdain, calling it all a joke. He mocks his son's sincerity and says he expected something more serious. To him, Lith's whole speech was nothing but insignificant. Duke Lyde states before everyone that a class not recognized by God is useless. He reinforces that the power of classes is absolute and that this is the law of the world. Meanwhile, Lith, visibly shaken, tries to speak but hesitates before his father's rigidity. Lith says he respects his father but firmly states he cannot return. He acknowledges his power is still unknown, but fears that if Duke Lyde discovers he is useless, he will end up treated like a slave. Therefore, he decides to follow a different path. Duke Lyde watches Lith's attitude and says he does not disapprove. It actually seems interesting. Meanwhile, Leona comments it was bold to act that way in public. Then, Leona's father says he understands his daughter's thoughts, affirming Leona and Lith think alike. When called, Camilla is surprised and unsure how to react. Duke Lyde suddenly attacks Lith with force. The exchange is intense, and Lith immediately reacts. The confrontation between father and son explodes amid tension, making clear that the words said before did not end their dispute. Lith barely dodges a violent blow from his father. He blocks with difficulty, feeling the attack's weight. The impact shakes his arm, but his eyes show firmness. He is determined to face Duke Lyde to the end. At the decisive moment of the confrontation, Lith manages to disarm his father with a fast and precise move. Duke Lyde is caught off guard, and everyone around watches in shock. Lith, out of breath, tries to understand what he just did. He himself did not expect to dominate the duel. Duke Lyde asks when Lith learned that sword technique. Lith replies that he learned it by watching his father 2 years ago. The Duke acknowledges Lith's effort and the result of his training, praising him with a "very well," but then prepares something more, saying, however, Duke Lyde briefly praises Lith, but soon cuts the moment short, saying his way of thinking is still immature. Then he turns and walks away, making it clear he does not fully recognize his son as an equal yet. Lyde walks away with a serious expression, saying that one day Lith will understand. Even without agreeing with his son's thoughts, he recognizes there is still time for Lith to mature and see the world from another perspective. Lith falls silent after his father leaves. Then, without strength, he collapses to the ground before the spectator, clearly shaken by everything that happened. Lith discovers his new class is Holy Knight, surprising everyone. He recalls the past when he was considered classless. Now, praised and even recognized by his father, he hears the words, "Well done, son." Lith remembers the past when he was rejected for having no class. He was ridiculed, called useless, and abandoned even by God. The humiliation still echoes, contrasting with the recognition he has finally earned. Lith wakes up in Iris's arms after fainting in the tournament. She shows relief seeing him well. While trying to understand what happened, Lith reflects on his dream, a future where he becomes like his father. Doubt invades him. If he really became a holy knight, would he have lost who he is? Lith wakes up desperate upon realizing he was lying on Princess Iris's lap. Embarrassed, he bows and apologizes for his lack of manners. Iris, however, surprises him with a gentle smile, saying she doesn't mind, and that in fact she would like to touch him even more. Lith tries to hide the situation with Iris, but soon realizes another girl has been watching him all along, and is clearly unhappy. Sitting on the floor, he nervously comments that a scary Wani-san has been watching him closely from the start. Lith senses the tense atmosphere between the two girls. While Iris calmly drinks tea, the other watches visibly irritated. Confused and sweating, he clearly feels the strange tension forming around him. Lith asks how Sarah is feeling, and she answers cheerfully, saying she's ready to fight again. However, upon closer observation, Iris notices burns on Sarah's arm and realizes she is only pretending to be okay. Iris reveals that the doctors reported Lith's real condition. He has inflammation, bruises, and several cuts. Even if he tries to act normal, she makes clear he suffered many injuries and needs medical care. Iris hugs Lith tenderly and shows concern for his state. She notices how injured he is and tries to convince him to give up the final, saying he doesn't need to push himself and can simply step back if he wants. Lith smiles slightly and becomes thoughtful upon hearing Iris's words. He holds her hand firmly, showing he understands her concern. Iris hugs him from behind, surprised by her own action but happy. Lith only reacts with confusion, unsure how to respond. Lith looks at Iris with admiration, recalling that even being jobless, she always treated him with respect. He acknowledges she never made distinctions between classes and sees in her someone just, impartial, and free of prejudice. Lith praises Iris for also questioning the justice of the country's class structure. He recognizes they share the same ideals, strengthening the bond between them. Even injured, Lith firmly declares he will keep fighting. His determination impresses Iris, who watches him with an emotional and proud gaze. Iris hands Lith an object and apologizes for something. He accepts without hesitation, showing confidence and respect for her gesture. Iris apologized for having promoted him directly to the 7th rank as a personal guard, acknowledging it attracted criticism. But Lith reassures her, saying that despite the initial surprise, he was happy to fulfill his duty as a knight. Sarah encourages Lith, asking him to put on the new outfit and show his confident side. But she soon changes tone and warns seriously. Julius is very strong and he must be careful. Sarah pulls Lith excitedly, saying the finals are about to start. He watches her silently, surprised by her energy and dedication, while she smiles sincerely and encouragingly. The narrator announces the arena repairs are complete. With the audience attentive and the venue restored, he declares the start of the final duel. The presenter announces the first finalist, Julius Argyle, the sage of the Eastern Knights, known for consecutive victories thanks to his overwhelming magic. However, the public is confused upon realizing he has not appeared yet. Julius surprises everyone by being found relaxing in the stands, with a carefree smile. This raises speculation if it is overconfidence. The presenter asks the audience not to destroy the place and announces the fight is about to begin. The presenter enthusiastically announces the second competitor, someone who impressed everyone with a rare and extraordinary skill. When he enters the arena, she is surprised to see him arrive. It is Lith, now confident and ready for the final. Lith enters the arena excitedly, announced as the jobless who surprised everyone. The audience notices his battle gear is different, indicating he is more prepared and determined than ever for the final duel. Lith enters confidently with a firm, determined smile. Julius watches eagerly, saying that finally something fun will start. With both ready, the announcement is made. The final fight is about to begin. Julius starts the confrontation using the spell Dragon Breath, summoning dragon-shaped flames. Lith stands firm in the center of the fiery circle, not retreating. Tension grows as the arena fills with heat from the attack. Julius maintains his stance, channeling Dragon Breath with precision. The commentator is surprised, not understanding his intention. Iris watches calmly, revealing this technique was earned during the night exam. Tension rises, and everyone awaits the next move. Lith unleashes Dragon Breath with full force, creating a huge whirlwind of energy. The commentator notes the technique consumes a lot of mana, indicating he is betting everything on this attack. The impact raises debris, and the entire arena shakes with the strike's power. Lith activates Dragon Breath fully, launching multiple flame heads at Julius. The attack advances intensely, but Julius remains calm, smiles, and faces the magic directly. With a simple touch, he neutralizes the entire spell's power, destroying the flaming dragons with ease, leaving everyone shocked. Lith appears among the flaming dragon fragments with his sword enveloped in holy power. The attack was a trap. The Dragon Breath was only a distraction. The crowd is impressed by the strategy, but Julius smiles calmly, realizing the plan. Lith advances with a war cry, striking Julius in the abdomen with full force, but Julius remains calm and smiles as if the blow had no effect. Lith's strike hits Julius directly, destroying part of the arena with the impact's force. The crowd reacts in shock, and even the commentator announces the direct hit with surprise. For a moment, everyone believes Julius was knocked down. Julius blocks the attack with defensive magic and appears completely unharmed, leaving Lyth shocked by the opponent's resilience. Lyth is surprised to see his attacks have no effect. Julius reveals he is protected by a crystal barrier made of condensed ice magic, capable of completely nullifying any strike. Lyth quickly retreats and adopts a combat stance, studying Julius carefully. Then he charges with speed, sliding on the ground to approach the opponent and attempt a new attack. Lyth approaches and delivers several direct strikes to Julius, aiming at unprotected points. However, all attacks are blocked by the ice barrier, which remains intact despite the intense offensive. Julius does not move, staying confident. While Lyth realizes his attacks are ineffective, observers explain that Julius is using an original magic called Crystal Barrier, created from his own ideas. This magical defense is so advanced that even experienced knights failed to break it. Faced with this, Lyth begins doubting if he can break the barrier. Lyth casts Stone Hand, trying to attack Julius from all sides with a powerful charge. However, despite the massive impact, Julius remains completely still and unscathed, protected by his magic barrier. Taking advantage of a gap, Lyth appears from above with his sword in hand and attacks precisely. With determination, he shouts that he got him, aiming directly at Julius. Amid the debris of the previous attack, Lyth jumps down with his final attack, a powerful fire lance. He launches the magic directly at Julius, who is still wrapped in his crystal barrier. The strike hits with force, making the field tremble and debris fly everywhere. Lyth used all previous attacks as distractions, waiting for the exact moment when Julius's superior defense would be vulnerable. With the fire lance launched from above and no escape for the flames due to the barrier, the impact was even more destructive. Julius is hit squarely and falls motionless while the judge starts the count. Julius begins laughing, even fallen, surprising everyone by standing up amid the debris. He taunts Lyth, asking if he really tasted victory. The crowd and judges realize they made a mistake starting the count. Lyth stands firm, facing Julius and making it clear the fight is not over yet. Julius praises Lyth for his performance, recognizing him as a tougher opponent than expected. Despite that, he says he hasn't had enough fun yet, and teases that Lyth is hiding his true power. Feeling the pressure, Lyth sweats cold and forces his mind to think of a strategy to turn the fight. Before the semifinals, a blonde warrior seriously questions Lyth if he really intends to defeat Julius. Everyone thinks it's absurd, but Lyth, without hesitation, says he already has a plan. The blonde then steps back, saying it was just a joke, but it's clear he took Lyth's determination seriously. The blonde explains that Lyth still has little combat experience, even with his ability to copy techniques when hitting the opponent. Julius, on the other hand, is a dual skill user, able to activate two techniques at once. He states that facing him on equal terms is impossible. Even so, Lyth responds determined, accepting the challenge firmly. Captain Urs proposes a skill challenge. If Lyth wins, he will reveal his trump card. For that, Lyth will undergo training with the Royal Guard, facing direct fights with troop members who will not go easy on him for having suddenly joined the Royal Guard. Though surprised, Lyth accepts the challenge, determined to prepare for facing Julius. During the duel, Lyth tries a new attack called Burst Cyclone, but Julius stands firm and taunts him, asking if that was all Lyth could do. Amid the charge, Lyth realizes his mistake. He lowered his guard. The audience watches anxiously as the magic escalates and tension rises. Even after being hit, Lyth refuses to give up and shouts that it's not over yet. Laughing with determination, he acknowledges Julius has not yet shown all his power and launches another attack, Stone Lance, aiming directly at the opponent to try to turn the tide. Julius easily blocks Lyth's attack, manipulating crystals with precision and elegance. While Lyth watches surprised, Julius keeps a calm, confident smile, as if already having full control of the fight. Lyth falls to his knees, frustrated by Julius's impenetrable defense. Urs scolds him, saying that getting discouraged like that will lead to defeat. He explains that Julius treats the fight like a game, but enjoys using magic to the fullest. Lyth asks how to get close, and Urs replies that he must think for himself. The only chance is to strike when Julius lowers his guard. Lyth tries to approach with a direct attack, but Julius's ice barrier blocks everything. He retreats, frustrated, realizing he can't get close. Meanwhile, Julius watches calmly, showing no effort. Lyth provokes Julius, questioning why he is not using his dual skills and implying he is afraid. The provocation catches the audience's attention, and Lyth watches carefully. waiting to see how Julius will react. Julius responds to Lytha's provocation enthusiastically, falling exactly into the planned trap. Lith, alert, notices the opponent took the bait and prepares to act confidently. Julius activates his combined earth and fire magic called Muspel, revealing his true strength. With a confident smile, he warns he will now fight seriously, challenging Lith to keep up. Julius advances with his fist, wrapped in rocks and flames, hitting Lith with a brutal blow. The force of the impact creates a violent explosion at the arena's center, making clear the power difference between them. Lith barely escapes Julius's crushing attack, and even injured sees an opening. With determination in his eyes, he leaps into the air, ready to counterattack at the only moment Julius lowered his guard. Julius intercepts Lith's attack with ease. With a confident smile, he reveals he had already anticipated the attempt to use his distraction against him. Lith is surprised to realize his plan was completely foiled. A powerful energy blast is unleashed against Lith, forcing the spectators to recoil in shock. The impact is so intense that even the guards become alert, showing the severity of Julius's attack. Julius remains standing, victorious and bored, while Lith lies fallen, visibly defeated. The duel site is destroyed again, and the presenter watches everything in shock. Julius declares the fight over with disdain, finding it all boring. Lith suddenly reappears amid the rubble and advances against Julius. Julius is surprised, admitting he underestimated his opponent. Lith blocks Julius's combined fire and earth magic, cornering him. Now Julius realizes he cannot escape. Julius tries to react with a direct attack, but Lith hits him with a powerful close-range magic strike, interrupting his advance. A new fighter appears and interferes in the battle, using a wind attack that hits the boy and throws him away. Even so, she shows that she doesn't rely only on brute strength, explaining that her abilities become stronger when combined with other elements, indicating that the fight can still change depending on how the powers are used. The boy gathers wind and fire into a single attack, compressing the air and releasing a massive explosion that spreads across the field, destroying everything around. With this, he shows that he can also combine elements and turns the strike into something much stronger, raising the fight to another level. The explosion spreads across the field and causes huge destruction, hitting everything around and throwing the fighters away. As the dust begins to settle, the boy stands in the middle of the ruins, trying to understand the result of the attack and wondering if that was enough to win the fight. Even after the explosion, the enemy appears behind the boy without being defeated, showing that everything hit before was just a distraction. The boy realizes the mistake immediately, understanding that he fell into a trick and that the real opponent is still intact, ready to continue the fight. The enemy hits the boy from behind and knocks him down, showing that he was always one step ahead. Then, he reveals that he had been observing him for a while and recognizes his abilities, making it clear that even without an official position, the boy can use several techniques. Even so, he states that there is a big difference between them, since he spent years studying and mastering countless abilities before reaching his current level. The enemy attacks the boy again and shows that he understands his abilities, saying that he still lacks creativity while pressuring him to fight with everything he has. The boy tries to resist, but he is pressured by the attacks and loses control of his own abilities. Meanwhile, those watching realize that he still doesn't fully master his powers, making the fight increasingly harder for him. The enemy reacts quickly and uses stone attacks to neutralize the air bombs, making them explode before reaching him. This way, he keeps control of the fight and continues to pressure the boy without giving him any space. The boy rushes forward again, trying to surprise him, but the enemy calmly reacts and dodges without difficulty, showing total control of the situation. This makes it clear that he feels no pressure in the fight, while the boy realizes how much he is at a disadvantage. The enemy attacks again and hits the boy in the air, throwing him away. Even so, the boy tries to adjust himself mid-fall so he doesn't completely lose control and can keep fighting. The enemy uses a mud trap to hold the boy and stop his movements, showing that he didn't even notice the trick. With that, he reinforces his dominance in the fight and makes it clear that the boy's level is still far below. After being pressured and trapped, the boy loses his strength and ends up falling, no longer able to continue the fight. With that, the result is decided, while the enemy remains standing after dominating the entire battle. After the fight, a girl comments on the result and judges that the boy's performance was not as impressive as she expected. Even so, another person disagrees with that view, making it clear that he may have more than he seems. Even fallen and exhausted, the boy gets up again and decides to keep fighting, showing that he will not give up even while at a disadvantage. Even after taking a heavy hit, the The boy stays on his feet and returns to the fight, surprising those watching. This shows that he still has strength to continue, making it clear that something strong is motivating him not to fall. The boy advances even while tired and lands a direct attack on the enemy, finally managing to hit him. With that, he gains a moment of advantage and shows that he can still react even at his limit. The boy realizes the enemy's true strength and understands that he is facing someone far above normal. Even so, he tries to think of a way to win, but ends up getting hit again and thrown away, showing that he is still at a disadvantage. The enemy finishes the attack and knocks the boy down with a decisive blow, destroying the ground around them. With that, he assumes the fight is over and declares victory, while the boy remains down without being able to react. Even at his limit, the boy gets up once more and insists on continuing, but realizes that he has already used everything he had and still cannot keep up with the enemy. Little by little, he understands that he has no options left and that there is no way to turn the fight around. Even without options, the boy decides to continue using only physical strength and rushes into a direct attack. The enemy easily notices this and blocks without difficulty, showing that he is still completely in control of the situation. The boy activates a physical boost to increase his strength and speed, trying to change the course of the fight. Seeing this, the enemy reacts immediately and moves into direct confrontation, ready to face this new level. The boy changes his fighting style and switches to physical combat, advancing directly while dodging ice attacks. He manages to get closer and exchange blows with the enemy, showing an attempt to balance the fight through strength. The enemy easily holds back the boy's advance, and even summons a creature to reinforce the attack. With that, he increases his advantage even more, and keeps total control of the fight. The boy takes advantage of an opening, gets close, and grabs the enemy, finally executing the move he had been trying since the beginning to turn the fight around. The boy finally lands a direct hit on the enemy, and remembers the moment when he awakened his power, when he acted on instinct to protect someone. This memory shows the origin of his strength, tied to the will to act without thinking, trying to use that now to change the course of the fight. The boy continues the attack, but realizes that something changed in the middle of the action, as if the ability was not working the normal way. Even so, he keeps trying to finish the strike, without fully understanding what is happening. In another place, an important man appears and makes it clear that he came to watch the fight, confident that his son will win. His presence draws attention, showing that the confrontation carries more weight than it seemed. During the conversation, it is revealed that the opponent received a special power at a young age, something rare that explains his current strength. This reinforces the idea that the difference between him and the boy comes from long before the fight even began. The leaders become tense as they analyze the fight, not understanding what is happening, since everything contradicts what they expected. Even so, they insist that the prophecy cannot be wrong, reinforcing the doubt about the result. The leaders begin arguing as they realize that the boy, even with power, cannot use high-level abilities. This creates frustration, since it contradicts everything they expected, making the situation even more confusing. The enemy shows total confidence and reveals that he sees his condition as an advantage, saying that it means he has no limits. Meanwhile, the leaders fall silent as they realize what this might mean, indicating that the situation is more dangerous than they imagined. During the exchange of blows, it becomes clear that the enemy can use magic even without having his own power, through an artifact. This confuses the boy, who feels the energy but doesn't understand how it is possible while trying to stay focused on the fight. The boy ignores the disadvantage and manages to land a direct hit, knocking the enemy into the air and creating a real opening in the fight. Right after being launched, the boy is pressured by a heavy force that pins him to the ground, unable to move. The enemy uses a new ability and regains control of the fight, canceling the advantage the boy had just gained. Even with the advantage, the enemy notices something strange and understands that by destroying the artifact, a hidden ability of the boy might be automatically activated. This indicates that the fight is not over yet and may change direction. After falling, something different begins to emerge in the boy, revealing a strange and heavy energy that draws everyone's attention. While others feel that something dangerous is appearing, the enemy notices this change, indicating that the boy's true power is finally starting to show. The out-of-control energy begins to affect the place and frightens the audience, making people panic. Realizing this, someone questions the situation, making it clear that the fight has gone beyond the limit and is now putting others in danger. The boy ignores the danger around him and advances again, getting close while protecting those at risk. Then, he notices a new opening and focuses on his next move, trying to use it to continue the fight. The boy advances with everything using enhanced firepower, launching several close-range attacks. The enemy responds immediately, maintaining direct confrontation and preventing him from gaining any advantage. The boy continues landing direct hits, but realizes they are not causing real damage to the enemy. Even while hitting, he understands that something is wrong and that he still hasn't overcome his defense. The enemy reveals that the boy's defeat had already been decided before, even with the destruction of the artifact. Then, he counterattacks easily, grabs the boy, and throws him with force, ending the fight in a dominant way. The boy falls among the ruins after the final attack, while the spectators react with concern. Even so, the one responsible for the fight remains calm and treats everything as part of the spectacle, making it clear that he doesn't care about the boy's condition. One of the girls notices the change in the boy and understands that a different power has awakened in him. While he is lying down, it becomes clear that this new force is linked to anger, indicating that he may lose control at any moment. The enemy lifts the boy with ease, keeping him completely dominated. The enemy faces the boy calmly, even in front of the change, maintaining total control. Meanwhile, those watching understand that the boy could still follow a better path if he doesn't lose himself. But it is also clear that the enemy is already at a very high level, comparable to a commander. The fight is interrupted before continuing, leaving the final decision to the judge. Even so, it is clear that the enemy believes in his own victory, while it is reinforced that the duel is not just about winning, but about proving who truly has the value to protect and evolve. One of the girls asks the enemy to release the boy, and he complies without resistance. The boy's body falls to the ground, while she watches with concern, showing that the situation has already gone out of control for him. The enemy makes it clear that he does not care about status or fame, showing that he entered the tournament only to face strong opponents. This reinforces that he fights only for the challenge, without caring about anything else. The enemy shows that he still wants to continue fighting, and that he is not satisfied with the result, making it clear that he is looking for even greater challenges. Meanwhile, those watching notice the danger of this attitude, since he does not seem willing to stop. The enemy realizes that he is facing someone extremely strong and acknowledges it at that moment. As he steps back, it becomes clear that the boy left a strong impression, even after his defeat. The situation gets out of control, and one of the commanders immediately notices the danger, ordering the king to be protected while everyone moves quickly. Even injured, he tries to act, but it is already clear that he is at his limit, being supported while the tension only increases around them. The story shifts to the past, showing knights advancing into war, all moving forward firmly toward an endless battlefield, carrying their swords and putting their honor on the line. It shows the context of the war, with the Wizark Empire invading the Lawrence Kingdom for resources, while several attempts at peace fail and negotiations lead nowhere, making it clear that the conflict was inevitable and continued to intensify. In the middle of the war, a veteran warrior faces several enemies at once, advancing without retreating and opening a path alone. At the same time, it becomes clear that the Wizark Empire follows an ideology of absolute strength, despising any negotiation and relying only on military power, while demanding that the kingdom send its strongest fighter to decide everything through battle. In the middle of the clash, the old warrior recognizes the opponent's skill and decides to face him directly. Then the two introduce themselves. On one side, Richard Lawrence, representing the kingdom, and on the other, Hades Wizark, showing that this was not just any battle, but a duel between the strongest from both sides. The confrontation comes to an end, with the leader defeated among the rubble, recognizing the superiority of his opponent as the battle concludes. The defeated leader acknowledges the superior strength of his opponent and admits his failure. Following his own principles, he accepts that only the strongest should rule, and decides to entrust the fate of his empire to the victor. Facing the end, the leader makes a final request, entrusting the care of his daughter to the victor. After his death, the Wizark Empire collapses, and over time, its name disappears. The princess joins the King of Lawrence, sealing the end of the conflict and the beginning of a new era. Years later, the queen consort Silesia recalls her entry into the royal family with calmness, accepting the past as part of her duty for the good of the kingdom. Without holding resentment, she shows maturity and understanding, while the court continues in harmony under the new established order. Eldiana, former princess of the Wizark Empire, takes on her role with responsibility, asking that they take care of both the kingdom and the king. Over time, she becomes the first queen, while Celicia is named second queen years later, strengthening the stability and unity of the kingdom. Years later, the young heirs grow under the new order of the kingdom. Camilla stands out easily and receives constant recognition, being seen as the future queen, while Iris, despite her effort, feels left aside, revealing the first tensions and differences between them. Camilla continues to be praised as the ideal future queen, admired for her elegance and exemplary behavior among the nobility. Meanwhile, Iris watches from the side, silently carrying her own insecurities. Before them, an important call arises, indicating that something decisive is about to be revealed. During a formal ceremony, the king surprises everyone by naming Iris as the first princess of the kingdom. The decision causes immediate shock, especially in Camilla, who is always seen as the natural heir, marking an unexpected twist in the succession. The decision is justified by the kingdom's laws, which grant the right to the throne to the one who possesses an advanced class. Iris, now holding a superior class, is chosen after court deliberation, while Camilla loses her status. Faced with this, she reacts with anger, unable to accept the change after all the effort she put into becoming the heir. Overwhelmed by frustration, Camilla bursts into tears and anger, feeling that all her effort was useless in the face of a decision based only on status. As she questions the injustice of her fall, suspicion arises that her origin linked to the former empire also weighs against her, intensifying her pain and indignation. Faced with the crisis, it is stated that a person's value is defined only by their class. Camilla, shaken and humiliated, cannot endure the situation and runs away, while those around her only watch, unable to stop her pain. While Camilla isolates herself, suspicion arises that the king's decision was not simple, indicating that something hidden may have influenced the result. At the same time, it is revealed that her feelings were always deep, making her pain even more significant. Memories of the past reveal that the two grew up together, inseparable, sharing studies, training, and simple daily moments. Camilla always found strength in the other's presence, seeing her as her greatest support. Now, as she remembers everything, she realizes how much she depended on that bond, making the current situation even more painful. Consumed by pain, Camilla begins to believe that she was deceived from the beginning, seeing her former ally as a manipulator who only pretended closeness to take her place. The trust that sustained her strength breaks, giving way to suspicion and resentment. Dominated by distrust, Camilla rejects any attempt at closeness and completely breaks the bond she had with the other. Feeling betrayed, she isolates herself, convinced that she can no longer trust anyone. Isolated and on the edge, Camilla rejects any interference, trying to distance herself from everything. At that moment, someone appears offering an unexpected possibility, a way to recover her lost position, reigniting a new hope in the midst of despair. Even shaken, Camilla listens to the proposal and sees a figure appear who presents himself as an ally. Faced with the promise of help, the path to recover what she lost begins to take shape, marking the beginning of a new turning point in her destiny. The mysterious figure reveals his true intention by stating that Camilla is the rightful one worthy of the title of First Princess. As he presents himself, he begins a decisive alliance, setting in motion a plan that could change the course of the kingdom. It is revealed that Camilla carries the legitimate lineage of the former Wizark Empire, making her the true heir to a power lost after the war. Faced with this, an ambitious plan emerges to restore the empire and raise Camilla above everyone, not only as a princess, but as an empress. The alliance is sealed when the man kneels and swears absolute loyalty to Camilla, recognizing her as the rightful heir. At the same time, in the shadows, forces begin to move, indicating that the plan to restore the old empire is already underway and will bring imminent consequences. As the plan moves forward, a deeper revelation appears. The man holds direct resentment against Richard Lawrence, blaming him for the fall of the old empire. Driven by this hatred, he positions himself as someone seeking revenge, indicating that the coming conflict will not be only political, but also personal. Camilla takes on a new stance, being recognized as the leader of the Eastern Knights, showing that she has already begun her move to regain power. Her rise causes an immediate reaction in the kingdom, with questions and orders being challenged, revealing that open conflict between the sides is about to begin. Former knights of the Wizark Empire reveal their past and the weight of their failure in the war, admitting that they could not protect the emperor. Now reunited, they make it clear that they never abandoned their loyalty and that many still share the same ideal, forming a force ready to act again. The tension explodes into action as the knights clash, quickly dominating the situation and taking control of the location. In the middle of the chaos, one of the leaders watches with confidence, making it clear that everything was part of a plan already anticipated and carefully executed. The conspirators reveal that they had been waiting for this moment for a long time, choosing the day of the tournament when all the knights would be gathered to start their plan. The move marks the beginning of a new era, signaling the rebirth of the Wizark Empire. Confident in victory, the conspirators celebrate in advance the fall of the Kingdom of Lawrence. However, at the decisive moment, an unexpected reaction interrupts the situation, indicating that not everything is under control as they planned. At the critical moment, a new character appears and interrupts the celebration, claiming something essential to the plan. His presence completely changes the situation, revealing that there are conflicting interests even among those involved in the conspiracy. The situation becomes more complicated when Julius intervenes, defending an ally and acting outside the original plan. His action creates immediate conflict among the conspirators, revealing internal divisions and putting the entire carefully prepared strategy at risk. Julius completely ignores the strategy and acts on his own, making it clear that he does not care about the plan. Driven by personal interest, he treats the conflict like a game, causing destruction without hesitation, and further worsening the instability among his own allies. Julius advances with overwhelming power, launching an attack that dominates the field and forces everyone to face his true strength. His intervention transforms the confrontation, making it clear that he represents an unpredictable threat even to his own allies. The confrontation reaches a new level when a colossal creature is summoned, spreading destruction and imposing terror on the battlefield. Faced with the threat, a hidden power linked to the king is revealed, indicating that his true strength goes far beyond what it seemed. The dragon's presence imposes itself as an overwhelming force, putting everyone on alert in the face of its destructive power. As chaos spreads, doubt arises about the king's fate, suggesting that his connection to this power may be deeper than imagined. Facing the growing threat, orders are given to mobilize a large army immediately. However, there is a sign that this force may not be enough, or may not even be fully under control, suggesting an unexpected complication in the military response. When trying to react, it is revealed that part of the troops has already been neutralized, unable to fulfill their roles. The enemy attack happened even before the mobilization, showing that the opposing plan was more advanced than expected. Amid the destruction already in place, the attacker shows total control of the situation, treating the confrontation as mere training. While others realize too late the severity of what is happening, he prepares to continue the fight, looking for his next opponent with absolute confidence. At the peak of chaos, a sudden silence takes over the battlefield, paralyzing everyone around. Even with orders to attack, no one can move, as if an overwhelming presence had taken control of the situation, completely interrupting the flow of the fight. Even under threat and strict orders, the soldiers remain unable to act. The attempt to impose authority fails against the invisible force dominating the field, showing that control of the situation is no longer in the hands of those in command. Faced with the scene, it becomes clear that the king reveals a completely different side, acting like a true, relentless warrior. Even under attack, he remains unshaken, imposing a presence that intimidates everyone around and shows a power far beyond what was expected. Amid the chaos, the king approaches Camilla and treats her with unexpected kindness, silently recognizing all the effort she has put in over time. His attitude contrasts with the situation around them, revealing that he has always been aware of her value. The king admits that the decision was cruel and unfair, even while following the kingdom's laws. Unable to act against tradition at that moment, he carries the weight of not having protected his daughter's dignity, acknowledging his failure both as a ruler and as a father. The king takes responsibility for bringing Camilla back, stating his decision firmly. Determined not to be bound by the past, he shows that he is willing to change, confronting traditions and seeking to correct his own mistakes. Camilla directly confronts the king, questioning his passive stance in the face of the court's decisions. Even recognizing his strength, she accuses him of lacking courage for not acting when it mattered most, exposing her disappointment and challenging his authority. The tension shifts direction when an accusation arises that someone manipulated the entire situation, influencing Camilla and guiding the events. The conflict stops being only political and becomes personal, revealing betrayals and hidden responsibilities behind the crisis. The battle intensifies with devastating attacks that destroy part of the surrounding structure, spreading chaos among soldiers and civilians. Amid the destruction, the direct confrontation continues, showing that the conflict has completely gone out of control and threatens to consume everything around it. It is recognized that the king possesses absolute power, thanks to the dragon's blessing, making him practically unmatched. Even so, it becomes clear that not everything can be solved by strength alone, and even in the face of this superiority, resistance remains firm, refusing to retreat before the threat. Even in the face of an overwhelming threat, the soldiers advance without hesitation, fighting with absolute determination. Guided by duty, they face the enemy with everything they have, willing to sacrifice their lives to protect what they consider most important. The knights advance together, determined to fight and protect what matters, even in the face of danger. Facing the destruction, the king tries to convince Camilla to stop the fight to avoid more deaths, but she stands firm and refuses to retreat. Even amid the chaos, it becomes clear that the confrontation is inevitable. The fight continues like a predetermined fate, as everyone is dragged into a battle that can no longer be avoided. A spatial magic is revealed, releasing a hidden army onto the battlefield. The ambush changes the course of the fight, showing that the enemy still had hidden forces. The hidden army moves into action and advances with full force. The leader orders the attack, beginning the offensive of the Wizark Empire against everyone on the battlefield. Lythe wakes up after the impact, injured but conscious. Despite the pain, he says he is fine, while the others notice that he has awakened and worry about his condition. Maurice Brute enters combat and faces the enemies directly, advancing with strength and taking down several soldiers. He provokes the Wizark Empire, questioning if that is the best they can do. Leona Frost joins the battle with authority, coordinating attacks and quickly defeating enemies. While allies press forward, she orders the battle to be ended quickly, maintaining control of the confrontation. The king, now connected to the dragon through a contract, attacks with overwhelming force and ignores common magic. His advantage becomes clear, surprising the enemies on the battlefield. The dragon releases a devastating attack on the field, causing a massive explosion. Even so, the knights immediately counterattack, facing the king's power without retreating. Lythe realizes that this is not just the king's power, but something beyond that. Even so, he decides to act and advances together with the priestess, entering directly into confrontation against this overwhelming force. The attack is contained, and Lythe, along with the two allies, remains standing firm. Relieved, she says she is happy they are okay, but also complains that they always make her worry. After regrouping, they confirm that Lythe can still fight, but a question arises. If Camilla is leading the Wizark Empire, then where is she now? A large-scale magic is activated, spreading symbols across the field. It causes no direct damage. It is a seal, leaving everyone confused about its true effect. The seal activates and traps the king along with the dragon inside a barrier, limiting their movements and finally bypassing his advantage against magic. An unknown magic is activated and surrounds the creature. Above, a core of energy appears and begins to affect the entire area, shaking the city. The intensity of the spell reveals that something far more dangerous is about to happen. Camilla Lawrence appears and activates her power, gathering energy while allies watch from behind. The situation intensifies, indicating an imminent confrontation. A warrior appears riding a dragon and advances with full force, breaking everything around. The clash erupts violently, with a direct attack marking the beginning of the battle. The attack is launched from above, but the warrior reacts quickly and blocks it, deflecting the force. Then, he counterattacks, hitting the enemies and gaining the advantage in the clash. In the past, a hero faces an army and receives power from his allies. With a single decisive strike, he defeats the enemy and devastates everything around. Inspired by the legend, the warrior advances while riding the dragon and executes his own version of the strike, pushing the attack to its peak. The attack hits the battlefield and causes immediate destruction, forcing the soldiers to retreat. Amid the chaos, it becomes clear that the situation has gone out of control. The warrior advances with a brutal strike and breaks through the enemy's defense, taking down several at once. With momentum and aggression, he dominates the clash and forces his way forward. A flash cuts across the horizon, and then the impact hits the city, releasing a wave of destruction that spreads throughout the region. The explosion spreads and covers the battlefield in smoke. The survivors watch the result, uncertain if the fight has truly ended. Even after the explosion, a new power is activated, showing that the battle is not over yet. The tension returns, indicating that the confrontation continues. The heroes react quickly and protect each other, while new attacks hit the ground. The fight continues amid the growing chaos. The warrior advances alongside the dragon and delivers a powerful strike, hitting the enemy directly and regaining control of the battle. The dragon counterattacks violently and advances toward the group, forcing the heroes to prepare for the next impact. After the clash, the enemy approaches calmly and takes control of the situation, indicating that he still holds the advantage. The enemy reveals knowledge about the dragon's power and the strike that brought it down. With confidence, he takes control of the situation and shows that he understands exactly what happened. He explains the ability used, capable of transferring damage and ignoring defenses, making the strike devastating. Then, he reveals his own class, showing that he still hides more abilities. He details that the technique combines the princess's damage transfer with a cleric's area power, creating an amplified effect. This fusion turns the strike into something that can hit and redirect damage within a domain, even with individual target limitations. With that, he reveals that the attack was not simple strength, but the result of a composed and strategic ability. He explains that the field had already been prepared to transfer damage, using the area as a medium to redirect attacks. The barrier kept the target trapped, ensuring that the effect would work even against something resistant. Thus, the hero's strike did not act alone, but was amplified by the entire strategy, resulting in the enemy's fall. After the strategy, the soldiers remain unharmed while the fight continues. The allies take the front line, advance against the enemy, and order the others to retreat, preparing a new attack to end the battle. The warrior activates an enchantment and releases a wind attack that throws the enemy backward. With greater control of power, he intensifies the offensive and keeps the pressure in the fight. The warrior realizes that his previous defeat was the result of a larger plan, not a lack of strength. Understanding this, he confirms that the soldiers survived, revealing the true effect of the strategy used. The enemy reveals his intention to attack again without hesitation, showing absolute confidence. In response, the other side stands firm and accepts the confrontation, making it clear that the battle is still far from over. The enemy advances and lands a direct hit, breaking the opponent's rhythm and limiting his use of the sword. With the advantage, he maintains pressure and tries to end the confrontation. The attack is launched, but loses effect when it leaves the prepared area, reducing its impact. Realizing this, the enemy understands the limitation of the technique and reveals his hostility, making it clear that the confrontation becomes even more personal. A new ally appears and positions himself beside the king, declaring support. Then, he activates a powerful ability that compresses the surrounding environment, creating crushing pressure that traps the enemy at the center of the impact. Even under the crushing pressure, the target reacts and manages to reverse the magic against its user, regaining the advantage. The quick response shows battle experience, changing the course of the fight. The gravity user is thrown away and loses control for a moment, being repelled by the counterattack. Even so, he recovers mid-air and immediately returns to the offensive, while impacts continue exploding around and keep the battlefield in constant chaos. The enemy reappears with speed and lands a direct blow, interrupting the hero's reaction. Then, he advances fiercely alongside a creature, maintaining pressure and asserting dominance in the clash. The hero advances with determination and activates a special technique, concentrating power in his blade. With a precise movement, he prepares a more refined strike to turn the fight around. The enemy reveals that everything was part of a larger plan and downplays the situation, treating the fight as something controlled. Meanwhile, the hero advances and takes down an opponent, showing that he can still react and keep the battle balanced. The hero remains firm and advances even under pressure, while the enemy mobilizes forces and intensifies the attack. Around them, chaos spreads and civilians flee, making it clear that the battlefield leaves no room for error. Camilla accepts her determination and embraces the necessary sacrifices to achieve her goal. With that, she reaffirms her ambition to rule and change the order of the world, taking control and shaping the future in her own way. Camilla advances with determination, rejecting the idea of a predetermined fate and asserting her own will. As the confrontation intensifies around her, she positions herself to end the chaos and impose her path. Camilla is struck and loses strength, revealing that her ability is no longer active and that her magic is at its limit. The opponent notices the weakness, analyzes the situation, and pressures her, demanding that she reveal her true intention. In a moment from the past, cakes are prepared and carefully separated for each person. Camilla receives hers, marking a simple but important memory amid daily life. Behind the scenes, resistance appears against Camilla's position, as she is seen as an outsider occupying an important role. Despite the doubts, the decision is maintained, and everyone continues their duties without questioning. A small moment reveals the impact of the decisions. The cake is left aside and Camilla's sadness becomes evident. Even so, she decides to deal with everything on her own, accepting the weight of the situation. Camilla is comforted after having her feelings understood, receiving support in the middle of her pain. At the same time, it is reinforced that difficult decisions must be accepted for the greater good, even when they go against her own desires. Camilla is encouraged to follow her own will and not be carried away by external pressure. By stating that both peoples are her responsibility, she decides not to abandon either side and moves forward, determined to carry that burden. Amid the ruins, she approaches and reaffirms the bond between them, offering sincere support. Camilla, still shaken, finds comfort in that trust and begins to accept that she does not have to carry everything alone. The hero advances in rapid succession, dodging and counterattacking with precise strikes. The enemy reacts and tries to block, but is pressured and ends up being hit, losing ground in the clash. The hero is struck at close range, but reacts immediately and counterattacks with force, throwing the enemy to the ground. Even under pressure, he keeps fighting against multiple opponents around him, maintaining his pace and showing that he can still turn the situation around. The enemy gathers his strength and directly challenges the hero, making it clear that the battle will only end with his defeat. Surrounded by several opponents, the hero faces the situation, realizing that the decisive confrontation is about to happen. Camilla watches the battlefield and understands the weight of every life involved, realizing that any loss can bring huge consequences. Because of that, the fight continues intensely, while the responsibility over the outcome becomes even greater. Even while attacking, he acts to contain the worst-case scenario and protect the civilians. As the clash continues, it becomes clear that his actions have a greater purpose, tied to the truth that has already been revealed. It is revealed that past decisions were made to protect the kingdom, including a marriage imposed by duty. Because of this, Camilla is pressured to set aside her feelings and act according to her role, even while feeling fear. Camilla accepts her feelings but decides to move forward for the sake of duty. Taking on her responsibility as the king's daughter, she regains her composure and advances, determined to fulfill her role. Determined to end the conflict, they move forward together toward the final confrontation. With resolve, they accept that the battle will end there, facing the enemy without retreating. The injured young man is supported by Camilla, while the other man remains beside them with his weapon in hand. Despite being wounded, he manages to stay conscious and makes it clear that he had simply avoided using his strength until that moment. The man activates his damage conversion ability and manages to remain standing. Immediately afterward, he hurls his opponent forcefully against the wall, leaving everyone surprised to see that he is still in condition to continue fighting. The man reveals that he possesses a ring capable of nullifying instant death attacks, preventing that type of ability from working against him. Confident in his protection, he considers his opponent's attempt useless and advances once again, while the others watch him approach. The man activates a blocking ability and attempts to stop the enemies from advancing. However, the warrior in front of him forces his way through with his weapon, revealing that it possesses a powerful sacred enhancement capable of breaking through his defense. The impact destroys part of the area and sends the enemy crashing among the rubble. In the middle of the destruction, the captain protects Princess Iris, while they realize that she had activated her damage transfer ability just moments earlier, leaving the opponent practically defenseless. One of the enemies attempts to attack again, but he is caught by surprise when a young man suddenly appears and lands a powerful blow directly to his face. Immediately afterward, he uses wind magic to propel the attack and increase the force of the impact even further. The young man combines his sacred sword with wind magic and unleashes a powerful slash against the enemy. Even after being struck by the attack, the opponent remains standing and immediately locks his sights on the young man, preparing to pursue him. The enemy launches an attack with his shadowy claws against the young man, who narrowly manages to escape. Surrounded by his opponents, he continues dodging their strikes and uses his secret thief technique to move quickly and avoid being hit. The young man takes advantage of an opening and lands a blow on the enemy, but he soon realizes that his efforts are being nullified. A priest uses sacred magic to revive the defeated opponents, causing them to return to the battle and surround the young man once again. The young man continues taking down his opponents, but they repeatedly recover and return to the fight. When facing the larger warrior, he realizes that his sacred sword is not having the expected effect, because the enemy is using an ability that strengthens his body and increases his resistance. Even after using every ability and all the strength he possesses, the young man is unable to break through the warrior's defense. The opponent then easily immobilizes him, grabbing him by the neck and preventing him from moving while preparing to bring the fight to an end. After the battle, Reed approaches the captain and takes the opportunity to ask him a question. He wants to know whether possessing a greater number of abilities really makes someone stronger, causing the captain to become interested in his question. The captain explains that abilities work like weapons and only demonstrate their true potential when they are properly mastered. He also warns that accumulating many of them does not guarantee greater strength, since some abilities can evolve to even higher levels depending on how they are used. Finally, he advises Reed to take advantage of everything he can on the battlefield without hesitation. Cornered by the warrior, Reed realizes that he needs to use everything within his reach in order to survive. At that moment, he acquires the Overlord Body ability, strengthening his own body, and immediately charges forward to confront the opponent directly. Reed begins using the abilities of his opponents, acquiring Phantom Displacement to escape their attacks, and Sovereign Body to strengthen his resistance. He then also obtains the Archer's aiming technique and fires an accurate attack directly at one of the enemies. Reed continues advancing against the enemies, dodging their attacks and retaliating with increasingly precise strikes. In the middle of the confrontation, he manages to acquire another ability, obtaining the Sacred Resurrection magic that had previously been used by his opponents. Reed continues fighting the enemies while using the techniques he has just acquired. As he watches his movements, the captain realizes that the young man has managed to copy every ability belonging to the opponents present on the battlefield, something that leaves him completely surprised. The confrontation leaves a large part of the castle destroyed, with rubble scattered throughout the entire area. As he observes the devastation caused by the battle, the captain finds the situation strange and questions why Camilla still has not used her true strength against the enemies. The captain remembers that Camilla decided to betray the kingdom of her own free will, yet she still continues protecting Reed. To him, her behavior makes no sense, but Camilla remains beside the young man and refuses to abandon him. The man decides that Reed must also pay for Camilla's crimes and immediately launches himself directly into the attack. Without giving him any chance to react, he unleashes his Sacred Judgment technique, striking Reed with a fast and powerful blow. Reed realizes that the attack does not cut its target from the outside, but instead causes the energy of the sacred sword to explode inside the body in order to destroy it from within. Even though he is surprised by a technique he has never encountered before, he withstands the blow and immediately launches a counterattack. The man recovers among the rubble and manages to stand back up, but he quickly notices a new threat. In front of him, powerful gravity magic appears in the air, forming an enormous dark mass above the battlefield. The enormous sphere of gravity remains suspended over the battlefield, surrounded by the wreckage caused by the confrontation. Faced with that demonstration of power, it becomes clear that Camilla has finally decided to act, leaving a warning that no one should interfere with her target. Camilla unleashes the final gravity domain, creating an enormous black sphere that covers the battlefield. The crushing gravity drags allies, enemies, and debris indiscriminately, destroying everything that comes near it, while the survivors desperately attempt to escape the reach of the magic. Camilla intensifies her magic and keeps everyone trapped beneath the crushing force of gravity. Faced with the combatants who are still resisting, she concentrates her power and launches another attack to eliminate those who continue standing in her way. Camilla concentrates her magic into one final attack, creating a gigantic black mass of gravity above the battlefield. The technique crashes downward with crushing force, destroying and compressing everything around it, while Reet remains directly within the range of the impact. The captain observes the destruction caused by the magic and decides to intervene. He activates his Sanctuary Condemnation technique, causing an enormous barrier to emerge around the castle in order to contain the gigantic sphere of gravity and prevent its power from continuing to spread. The enormous sphere of gravity continues advancing, even after the attempt to contain it, causing everyone nearby to watch the phenomenon unfold. Camilla declares that her technique can no longer be stopped, and the black mass begins breaking through the defense while destroying everything that enters its reach. The powerful magic finally dissipates, scattering fragments across the battlefield. Even in the face of Camilla's crushing power, the sanctuary remained standing, showing that its protection was capable of withstanding the attack and preventing the destruction from advancing any further. The gravitational interference continues, distorting the space surrounding the sanctuary, but its protection reacts to the phenomenon. The distortion is completely nullified, and the affected area begins to be restored as the domain reorganizes the space surrounding it. The power of the sanctuary manages to completely neutralize Camilla's powerful magic without yielding to her attack. Upon witnessing the result, the combatants realize that not even the full destructive power of Julius was capable of overcoming that protection. With the magic finally contained, the man takes advantage of the opening and attacks Camilla, knocking her to the ground. After landing the blow, he observes the result of the battle, while she remains fallen among the rubble. After the confrontation, several soldiers begin getting back to their feet among the rubble, while others remain lying across the battlefield. Confused by the situation, they realize that they survived and attempt to understand who they were supposed to be fighting. As the soldiers regain consciousness, the captain reveals that all of the confusion was caused by James Argyle, who was responsible for controlling the minds of the combatants and turning them against one another. Now everyone finally discovers who was truly behind the chaos. With the truth revealed, the captain kneels before the two princesses and declares his loyalty to both of them. He recognizes that they will represent the new order of the kingdom, while Camilla and the others watch his decision. The two princesses are surprised by the loyalty demonstrated by the captain. However, with him severely wounded and Camilla incapacitated, he acknowledges that he is in no condition to protect the two of them at that moment, making their situation even more complicated. Upon realizing that even the enemy soldiers are kneeling and pledging their loyalty, Reed understands that refusing that position would only prolong the conflict. At that moment, he begins to suspect that the entire rebellion may have been planned from the very beginning as a way to seize control of the throne. Iris realizes that the captain continues pressuring them to make a decision even under those circumstances and confronts him over his behavior. However, he maintains his position and demonstrates that he had already expected that reaction from the princess. An enormous explosion suddenly erupts among the rubble, interrupting the situation and immediately drawing everyone's attention. The captain, Iris, and the others turn toward the source of the impact, realizing that something unexpected has just appeared on the battlefield. When the smoke finally clears, a man appears lying in the center of an enormous crater, surrounded by the soldiers. Upon seeing the newcomer, the captain shows his surprise, while another figure emerges from among the rubble immediately afterward. A long-haired man emerges from the rubble, rising above the fallen body and immediately calling out for Reet. His sudden appearance draws the attention of the soldiers nearby, while he searches for the young man amid the destruction. The captain realizes that the man has lost control after absorbing an enormous number of abilities. His body then begins manifesting several techniques at the same time, including increased strength, energy theft, and a state of rage, causing his power to increase even further. The accumulated abilities begin overloading his mind, activating techniques of rage, regeneration, and increased power, all at the same time. Losing more and more control, he advances against the soldiers, forcing everyone to prepare themselves to restrain him. The man charges toward the soldiers and faces their attacks head-on. With each new blow he receives, he continues absorbing the techniques of his opponents, acquiring abilities such as Roaring Annihilation and Heaven-Destroying Fist, increasing his arsenal even further in the middle of the battle. Upon realizing that Reet is being consumed by the abilities he absorbed, Camilla runs toward him and grabs hold of him, attempting to stop his advance. Iris also approaches and warns that if he continues like this, Reet will eventually lose his consciousness completely. Reet begins regaining consciousness and realizes that he had been advancing without any control over himself. Looking around, he finds Sarah lying injured on the ground while trying to understand what happened during his state of rage. Reet looks at Sarah lying on the ground and notices the injuries covering her body. When he realizes that he was the one who attacked her during his state of rage, he becomes completely frozen by what he has just done, while the captain watches his reaction. Desperate after seeing Sarah lying there, Reet runs toward her and begins to cry. Without wasting any time, he kneels beside the girl and places his hands over her body, attempting to use one of his abilities to save her while the soldiers watch. Reet loses control once again and races across the battlefield, attacking the soldiers around him at extremely high speed. As he faces new opponents, he continues absorbing their techniques, accumulating even more abilities and increasing his power. Upon realizing that Reet is completely losing control, the captain warns the soldiers not to approach him, because anyone struck by him could have their abilities stolen. The warriors then prepare to confront him from a distance, while Reet continues advancing against everyone around him. Reet continues advancing without control, but two warriors manage to intercept him and restrain his movements. Taking advantage of the opening, one of them delivers a powerful blow to bring him down, making it clear that their priority now is to immobilize him before dealing with his injuries. Even after being restrained, Reet continues resisting the attacks thanks to the abilities accumulated within his body. In the middle of the confrontation, he absorbs yet another technique and acquires the gigantification ability, increasing his strength even further and making any attempt to immobilize him much more difficult. A female warrior takes advantage of the opening and pins Reet to the ground, restraining his body to prevent him from continuing his attacks. Even while being held down, he still attempts to move, while she realizes that simply restraining him may not be enough to make him regain control. The captain explains that a true hero does not depend solely on temporary strength, because that power disappears when the battle comes to an end. As he observes Reet, he realizes that his case is different, since the young man continues absorbing abilities without stopping and accumulating more and more power.